Thank you, everyone. Please have a seat.
Okay.
We'll continue with our examination of with the cross-examination.
Hello to Dahlia.
Is that you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Officer.
Afternoon, sir.
For the cross-examination.
Officer, you testified on direct examination. You've been a Border Patrol agent for 23 years. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And so back in 2018, I think you said it had been about 18 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, about 2 months short of 18 years, yes.
And you also told Mr. Alanis that during that 18 years, you'd never encountered a murder scene. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
And you're a Border Patrol agent. You're not a police officer, correct?
Correct.
Right. But you know not to disturb a crime scene, correct?
Correct, sir. We've received limited training in that, yes.
And you testified on direct examination that you thought it was suspicious that Supervisor Burgos-Aviles was, in your mind, disturbing a crime scene. Is that correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Now, you also on direct examination talked about tracking.
Yes, sir.
Your experience in tracking.
Correct, sir.
Do you hold any certifications or titles in tracking?
No, sir. That's not something that the Border Patrol issues certifications or titles for.
And today you described giving a written statement, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you said that was the day of the murders, April 9th, correct?
I made one statement the day of the murders and a second statement the day following. Yes, sir.
Okay. So one the day of, and then April 9th, and then another on April 10th.
That'd be accurate, sir. Yes.
There's a phone ringing, you guys. No phones allowed.
All right, let's take this opportunity to look at your phones right now and turn them off or put them on silent, please.
Oh no. It's feeling like a Dr. Lewis situation. Whose phone
Thank
was
you.
that?
Proceed.
It can happen. It can happen.
So the one that was April 9th, the day of the murders, right? That was, you gave that statement before you learned that Supervisor Burgos-Aviles was a suspect. Is that correct?
That'd be correct, sir. Yes.
Right. And then the statement that you gave April 10th, that was at the police station. Is that correct?
Correct, sir.
And that was after you knew Mr. Burgos-Aviles was a suspect.
Correct.
And I'd like to talk to you about the statement that you made April 9th prior to knowing that Mr. Burgos-Aviles was a suspect.
Okay.
All right, to start. In that statement that you gave at the scene, it was immediately after the events occurred, correct?
Correct.
When they were all fresh in your mind, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Now, in that statement you gave April 9th, you didn't say anything about Mr. Burgos-Aviles acting suspicious. Is that correct?
Can I have do you have a copy of the statement I can refer to? I haven't memorized the statement.
Okay. So
Nice.
we have an electronic version.
Tip knocks.
I apologize.
Yes. Bring the receipts.
Are you connected?
We can plug it in.
I mean, but they just said you're not allowed to disturb the scene, right? Exactly. But your own client just disturbed the scene. He kicked rocks. He literally moved the victim's body. Oh man. Yes, I think that attorney is Mr. Boggs. We didn't even try to say his name like Burgos-Aviles. He's like Burgos-Aviles. Oh, he's got his whole mouth covered now. Look, they're all looking lost. We're zooming in now.
Is it possible?
It's there. It popped up. You see it there?
Yes, sir.
We got it now.
Well, you have it on screen now. Thank you. Do you need a moment
do you
to
need
look
a
this
moment?
over?
Yeah, that'd be great.
And so,
No, like he literally kicked a rock, Shindog. He kicked a
you can
rock
see
and it
that
was
it
by the body.
indicates
That's
that
what I
it's
mean.
April 9th.
Correct.
And that's the day of these murders, correct?
Yes.
And let's scroll down. And this is your handwriting that you wrote, is that correct?
Correct.
And you can see it on that screen right in front of you, is that right, sir?
Yes, sir.
Just take a moment.
Like, can we take a moment?
Let me know when you've finished reviewing what's on the screen, and we'll have we'll scroll down some more.
Responded to a call for assistance by SBPA Burgos.
Go ahead and scroll.
Assistance because he had found a female. It was bloody and unresponsive. Found her near the end of Bristol Road.
You go ahead and go to the next.
Okay, and he saw a stroller. We saw that on the side, opposite side of the road. In
Let
the
me know when
grass.
you've finished.
Okay.
Everything. Okay. Now,
Yes.
you were asked on direct examination by the district attorney if you didn't include everything, and you said you did not, and it was because you ran out of space. Is that correct?
I said there's limited space to include, yes.
Now, looking at your original statement, you left a lot of it blank. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so on this original statement, you didn't run out of space. Is that correct?
It would appear not, yes, sir.
Okay. And reviewing it today,
Mhm.
your original statement, there's nothing in there that you indicated that Mr. Burgos-Aviles was acting suspicious. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir, yes.
Okay.
At the time, I just dismissed his behavior as, as you noted, Border Patrol agents don't often respond to murder scenes, scenes of that nature. So I just dismissed it in my mind at the time as, okay, his odd behavior is just because he's never handled this kind of scene before. Maybe he's thrown off by what he's seeing here. So that's why I didn't feel at that time a need to mention that.
So you said that his odd behavior, maybe it was the effect of seeing a dead body. Is that correct?
At that moment, that's how I dismissed it, correct. That's how I
It was
justified
only
it.
After you learned that Mr. Burgos-Aviles was a suspect that you focused your written statement on Supervisor Burgos-Aviles. Is that correct?
I don't know if I focused my written statement on it. I
So lame. Oh my word.
wrote my statement as I observed the facts, sir.
I
And,
object.
The statement that you gave April 10th,
Mhm.
you'd recognize it if I showed it to you. Is that correct?
I'm sure I would.
Judge, may I approach?
You may.
Stuck on strings. I've boosted the sound because the audio is so crap from the court. I am speaking softly so that I don't interrupt too much.
And
I'm not a television channel. Well, I'm trying my best.
I have marked the April 10th statement
It's all
as
balanced on my side.
number 2.
But the court is boosted like
Using
max.
proper stickers.
Otherwise, we won't hear a
Defendants
thing.
I apologize. I have a cough drop in my mouth because
Oh, he's also got a cough drop in his mouth.
Please
Me
excuse
too. I had one too.
those 2 pages in what is Defendant's Exhibit number 2, do those accurately reflect the statement that you gave on April 10th?
I'm sure they do. Can I have a moment to read the entirety? Thank you.
Gerda, I think that's what it is. They're trying to make the witnesses look incompetent. Just like, who cares what you observed? You didn't write it down though. Therefore, it never happened. Exactly. And here and there, I'm just whispering like, oh my word, you guys, you know? talk louder. But we're good. Thank you so much. Ah, they're zooming into him again. That's true as well. Sometimes they're very close to the mic, and sometimes they're very far from the mic. It's like a press conference. Without the Grizzly boost, I don't know how we'd hear a thing. And other times they'll blast our eardrums out. Okay, so he's reviewing all his statements. I like how this Border Patrol agent,
Okay, sir.
Bradley Dennison.
Does that, what's marked
reviewing it
as Defendant's Exhibit Number 2 accurately reflect the statement that you gave on April 10th?
Yes, sir.
Police station. Okay. At this time, I'd ask that Defendant's 2 be admitted into evidence.
Check on it. You can use it for impeachment, but not to introduce it.
George, please.
Eduardo is going to come up with his impeachment again. For real. Wow, they zoomed in again. I just love how they did not listen. They didn't listen at all. Oh man, they're just like, don't zoom in to our client. Well, it's out of habit now. Oh no, please, Eduardo, don't. Are they going to impeach this? Try to impeach this witness too?
Sustain. You can obviously use it for all other purposes that you intend to.
I'd like to talk to you about your testimony about the rock being kicked, right? And I want to make sure I understand your testimony today. As I understand, and you gave a demonstration to the jury, you said that Mr. Burgos-Aviles dragged his feet or he scuffed the ground, is that correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay.
Oh, now it's close.
And he scuffed the ground, right, kicking a rock several feet that was near the body. Is that correct? Am I stating your...
Yes.
Okay,
That's
correctly?
more to
All right. Now, sir,
Thank you.
every time you tell this story, the story changes a little bit. Isn't that correct?
I don't believe so, sir.
Okay, so I just showed you what was marked as Defendant's Exhibit 2, and in that written statement, and it is after you knew Mr. Burgos-Aviles was a suspect,
Now the sound sucks.
you wrote, I witnessed Burgos walking up and down the road past the female body, but I did not witness him touch either body or any other evidence on the scene. Isn't that what you wrote in your written statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I just want to make sure everyone understands. Today you said that you saw him drag his feet and kick a rock, which was very obviously a part of the scene and the evidence, correct? The day after the incident, when it was fresh in your mind and you had the best recall of the events, you said you did not witness
This court
Mr.
stream
Burgos
audio in this
touch
round.
either the body or any
sucks.
evidence at the scene. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's what I wrote, sir. Yes.
And the exhibit that I just showed you says, I hereby swear or affirm that the contents of this written statement are true and correct, and I understand that any falsification or untruthfulness will constitute a violation of the law of perjury. Correct?
Correct.
That's what it says. And
Oh no, where's he going with this?
as a Border Patrol, you're a member of law enforcement,
Right. Yes.
so you understood what that language meant.
Yes.
And as a member of law enforcement, you know that when you make a sworn statement, it must be complete and accurate, correct?
Correct.
Because you understand that a jury, judges and attorneys will look at that statement and rely upon it, correct?
Correct. So, if I may, sir.
One second, wait for the next questions.
Okay.
Yes, that was rough. The Letitia phone calls, yes. Ah, cameraman, good job. Still zooming in.
Now, can I have State's Exhibit?
It should all be up here.
257.
Elena, we need Dieter in
And then-
court at every trial. Oh, he's making notes now. Because they still zoom in. They're communicating on paper now. The judge is so frustrated.
The state does not have any of the exhibits up in the council exhibit.
I'll put their picture up again. Just
Admitted
now.
exhibit.
Just want us to see this whole scene.
Can you put them back on the bin, please?
This judge is getting so grumpy with him. Belina Flanza, the judge's reactions to the defense team are gold. They are, right? He's like, yeah, Quentin making out his last will. Tomorrow, yes, the defense is obligated to try anything to discount the prosecution witnesses. No luck so far here. Nope.
I think there's two. Approach, please.
Okay, approach time. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Call him out. What a trial, oh my gosh. There's Eduardo. Mr. Boggs. This is the prosecutor, Isidro Alanis. Brenda says to be a fly on that wall in the courtroom, right? The L Trade says, I already feel like we need a post-court members only stream. Right? Soon. Just need to conserve my energy as much as possible because I'm working a lot of hours lately. Doing the trial, looking for the Coburger stuff. There was the whole Nicola Bully update as well. More today. So much. Kyron Norman's case. There's so much I'm doing right now. And a lot behind the scenes, but we will have a members only stream soon.
Passing the witness, States Exhibit 253 and 257.
Okay.
And you previously identified both 253 and 257. Is that correct?
I don't believe I did, sir.
I'll get closer to the mic.
Well, that is the rock to which you identified that you testified that Mr. Burgos-Aviles kicked. Is that correct?
I believe 257 was. 253, I believe, is the one I said I could not identify.
Okay.
But the level of zoom on the pictures makes it difficult. It would be better if there was a more zoomed out picture.
Okay.
And I could see a large portion of the scene.
So,
True, Aaron. But when it's trial time, woo, and a million other cases. But true. Good point. Valid. Vicky, thank you for being a member for 1 month. Okay, what else you got, defense? I do, Granny G.
so I just want to make sure everyone understands your description of the time that morning. Is that about a few minutes after you saw Mr. Burgos-Aviles say he was exploring, you heard the call over the radio, and that's where you came directly to Father McNaboe Park. Is that correct?
Correct. It
And,
was about 10 minutes after I spoke to him.
And you went immediately to the scene and were trying to assist. That's where you witnessed the dead body, correct?
Correct.
And it was around that time, right, immediately on the scene where you saw Mr. Burgos-Aviles on the other side of the body while the three plus you other Border Patrol agents were on the island, correct?
Correct.
And you thought it unusual that he would be on the other side because he might be disturbing the scene.
Correct.
Right? And that is prior to, and I apologize, let me back up. And then it was moments after you saw him on that scene, on the other side of the body, that you saw him scuffing his feet or dragging his feet and kick the rock. That's depicted in 257. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. And so that's prior to crime scene investigators coming out and taking photos, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this photo in 257, which has an evidence marker here, and was apparently taken by Laredo Police Department crime scene, that is after Mr. Burgos-Aviles kicked the rock. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it would have to be.
Okay, and I don't have the best eyesight, but sir, you discussed on direct examination your ability of looking at tracks and tracking. And
Correct.
you pointed out for the district attorney some shoe prints.
Yes.
Could you come show the jury where on this photograph the tracks of Mr. Burgos-Aviles dragging his feet are?
I can look.
Oh my word. I mean, this Border Patrol agent, Bradley Dennison, had to relive all of that in telling all those details. It's traumatic. And now he's being I know it's the defense's job, but it just feels so ugly right now. Thank you, Lynn.
On this photo, I cannot find drag marks.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. From that photo, I can't point out any drag marks that I could identify.
These camera angles.
What was on the document in the defendant's? I'm
It's-
sorry, plaintiff's states 257?
It was states 257, yes, sir. If I could just have one moment. Now, I understand that you and Supervisor Burgos-Aviles both worked at the Laredo North Station. Is that correct?
Correct.
And in the almost 9 years that Supervisor Burgos-Aviles was at the Border Patrol, you two never worked one-on-one. Is that correct?
A few times, like not one-on-one in the same truck riding together, but maybe at the checkpoint, some other assignments like that where we would have interaction, yes, but not one-on-one for an entire shift, no, sir.
Yes.
And you'd been there almost twice as long as Supervisor Burgos. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And had you ever applied for a promotion or applied to become a supervisor?
I applied one time, I believe back in 2006, 2007-ish. That was it.
Apply
Didn't
again.
get selected and never did apply again.
Apply again. Apply again.
Judge, I pass the witness back.
All right.
Thank you for your patience.
Yes, sir.
Any follow-up? Redirect?
You still have that statement?
No, sir, hand it back to him.
Miss Movie Cakes. This defense team needs a horror hog. Every one of them needs one, actually, on their desk for a mascot.
Just going to ask, looking at the same statement. Which statement that I just handed to you, when did you write that one?
This was on April 10th, the day following the murders.
Now, you began to try to explain maybe perhaps why your testimony didn't include everything, or your statement didn't include all of your testimony.
Correct.
You want to
So,
explain why?
as I mentioned earlier,
I think that's what they're going for,
also
Ozzy.
that there is limited space on these forms. On this form, I did use the entire space available.
Nice, show
Did
it,
run
show
out of
it.
space. And I had already made a statement the day prior, which included a quick synopsis of everything I had observed at the scene. So I went back and tried to make sure I included everything that I hadn't included in that first statement the day before, the events that I had not described prior, as well as I also made a verbal statement while I was there at the police department, outlining the whole experience of the day, which should coincide with everything I've testified to here today. So I felt that was way more important than whatever I wrote here, because I did have limited space, and I was asked to give a quick synopsis of what I observed here.
Now, let's put things into context. The first one, you were riding it on the hood of a truck, or where were you?
I was sitting in the front seat of a police car.
Okay. And after having discovered or seen a dead female,
Correct.
a dead baby,
Correct.
a bloody crime scene.
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah,
this
it was a lot of things, emotions, visuals to process and to process in your head.
So you have a lot going on at this moment, right?
Yes, sir.
And
And I'm
even
sure
now,
still doing some processing the following day as well.
the PTSD even now.
Everything that you testify here today, is that the truth?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any reason or ill will or any motive to make anything of this up?
No, sir, not at all.
Now, at the time, this trail, this dirt trail, in your best estimates, I want you to go back there in your mind from where the stroller mark stopped to where the female's body lay. How far is that distance? Estimate.
Maybe 15 yards at the most.
Your testimony to the jury was that you saw him pass the body dragging his feet, right? Or
The female's body, yes.
past the female's body.
Mhm.
And we're talking about a 15-yard space, right?
Mhm.
Distance. But what was the word you used when he was dragging?
The scuffing his feet?
Scuffing his
Yeah.
feet, right?
Now, he wasn't scuffing his feet that entire distance, no,
Exactly.
but
And that's what I'm going to ask you. Listen to my
okay.
question. Was he scuffing his feet the entire distance?
No, sir. No, just as he passed her body and approached the location where that rock was.
Okay, and when he got to the rock, was he scuffing his feet or did he just kick the rock?
No, he was scuffing his feet until he made contact with the rock, and then he began to walk normally following that.
You did put in your statement that you found it odd when he said he was on patrol, right? That he
When
told you that he
exploring.
was exploring, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember how long you were interviewed by the police?
The following day,
Yes.
maybe an hour.
Susie probably
Couldn't
yes.
say the exact time, but rough estimate, maybe an hour or so.
And I was going to
Could be longer, I'm not sure.
Can you give with your hands an approximate size of the rock to the jury? You can compare it to another object. What size would it be?
I would say maybe a little bit larger than a baseball, I would say. Something to that, somewhere between a baseball and softball size, maybe.
No, but you didn't put that in your statement.
No, sir.
Did you at any time verbally say that to any of the officers?
Not, I don't recall.
After experiencing what you experienced, in this case, this murder scene, did you have the occasion of having other memories or facts come into your mind after?
Yes, sir. Yeah, certain things that I noticed at the time, but maybe they didn't seem as relevant or as important
Yes.
as I kind of thought about and processed the day and the scene more in my mind. They became kind of stood out more. That they kind of clicked into place. Yes, sir.
Did at any time that you got there, did it ever cross your mind that Supervisor Agent Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles was the person that killed this young mother and baby?
No, sir. Not until later, after when I was informed that they were looking to take him into custody. At that point, that's when a lot of things started to make sense and click. But no, in the beginning, when I was first observing everything, I never would have imagined that one of my fellow agents would have done
Yeah,
this.
he was just observing.
Even when you wrote that first statement?
No, sir.
No, sir, what?
No, sir. I never would have imagined that Mr. Burgos or any other agent would have done that.
And even after the 10th, when you gave your statement, you still continued to process the crime scene in your head?
Correct. Yes, sir.
And everything you've come and told this jury today under oath is the truth.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Pass away.
Sir, on redirect, you just told the district attorney that Mr. Burgos-Aviles scuffed his feet, not the entire way, but kicked the rock. You have in front of you Defense Exhibit 2. Could you look at that second page and please read to the jury the last sentence that you wrote the day after the incident?
I'm going to object to that. It's not admitted.
It's impeachment.
It's not.
Let's do
Oh
it.
my word! The only strategy is
The way you
impeachment.
ask the question
Obviously, I get it.
perhaps can be done differently, because you're asking him to read off a document that would have normally have been already admitted. It's not admitted. You're using
Tell him,
it for
Judge.
impeachment purposes, and therefore we do it the way the rule says that we should do it with regard to that. So, you want to approach with regard to it? Excuse me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. approach.
Oh no! He's still on this.
Yeah, have the second page.
Look. Eduardo was smiling his ass off there. He's like,
So just,
impeachment.
Mr.
Boggs.
This one, sorry.
Could you approach me? I want to make sure we get this right.
I think each defense attorney has got the task of trying their level best to impeach the witness. That's all they got. That's all they got. Oh, man. Yeah, that's all they know. And it makes me think, like, damn, look, remember the Letitia Stout trial? They shouldn't try to impeach Dr. Lewis, and they could have. So much easier. Look at the judge's face. I like his chair. Yeah, like you would say, stop it.
You told the district attorney just now that everything you've said today is true, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm
And
going to also, I'm sorry, Mr. Boggs, but I need to object to him publishing it up on the.
Can you please ask the question with regard to if he says no to it, or unequivocally, what the rule says, Mr. Bond. Go ahead.
It's a trial. Oh my word.
the day after the incident occurred, you wrote,
Hello, Lobo.
after I arrived at the scene where the deceased subjects were found, I witnessed Burgos walking up and down the road past the female body, but I did not witness him touch either body or any other evidence at the scene. That's what you wrote, correct?
That is what I wrote.
Overruled. Go ahead. What was your question?
That's what I wrote, yes, sir.
But you told the district attorney that the more time has passed, things have come into your mind. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the statement that you swore to
Technology.
under penalty of perjury that you gave the police the day after the incident is not true. Is that correct?
Not sure I understand your question, but I'll answer it this way. The statement that I made was absolutely true and still is true. When I was referring to evidence in that statement, I'm referring to the body, the clothing, the stroller, anything like that. Him walking up and down the road touching the dirt could be him touching evidence, could it not? Yet I already made a statement that he was walking up and down the road. So anything could be construed as evidence, a blade of grass that had blood on it that he happened to touch.
Exactly.
I didn't visually see him interfere with any large pieces of evidence that were obviously, hey, that's evidence, that's a stroller, that's a body, that's a piece of clothing. That's what I was referring to in that statement that day.
And I just want to make sure everyone understands, because I thought on direct examination you said that when you saw
Then
that
why
rock,
did you not
it was
object?
very obviously a piece of evidence.
It had blood on it.
Okay.
It was obvious that it was moved and disturbed. But so was every piece of dirt he stepped on.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Not every piece of dirt that he stepped on had blood, correct?
I would imagine not, no.
I'd pass the witness.
Thank you. You may go on to the witness. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Mr. Alanis, your
They're
next witness,
zooming
sir.
into him still.
Lara, United States Border Patrol.
So they released him. Shame, buddy. We got your back. Oh my word. I hope he gets a promotion. So Gigi Golfagirl says, well, technically, Mr. Defense Attorney, you should have been
Agent
making some
Lara,
objections.
Good afternoon, sir.
Not an expert
Your Honor.
in tire
been
tracks
sworn
or
in, is that
footwear
correct?
impression.
Yes, I have,
You
Your Honor.
didn't.
Please, sir. Have a seat right up here.
Oh, okay. We have another one. Okay.
Get comfortable, pull up your chair, and we'll start the examination.
Get comfortable, pull up your chair. Okay. Another Border Patrol agent. Oh, we loved him. If he ever watches this, you're safe here, sir, Mr. Bradley Dennison.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
Yes, it's Francisco Noel Lara.
Okay, and how are you employed?
I'm employed as a Border Patrol agent.
And how long have you been employed as an agent?
I don't
In
know.
October, it'll be 12 years.
What was his last name, guys?
What are your duties and responsibilities?
My duties, my responsibilities are to deter terrorists and terrorist weapons from coming into the United States, and also to safeguard our borders from illegal activities that attempt to bypass legal frontiers or ports of entries, meaning human smuggling or human or contraband smuggling.
Prior to the Border Patrol, work with any other law enforcement agencies?
I was with the military for 4 years. I was in the Marine Corps. And prior to that, I was with the Transportation Security Agency for approximately a year and a half as a federal officer.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you, sir.
On April the 9th of 2018, were you employed as a Border Patrol agent?
Yes, I was.
Were you a supervisor?
No, I was not.
I want to go back to that day. Where did you report to that day?
I reported to the Laredo North Border Patrol Station.
At what time was your tour?
My tour started at 6 in the morning and it lasted till 4 in the afternoon.
Okay. Were you present for muster that day?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And what did you get assigned an area that day?
As far as the area, my duties that day were to pretty much take care of 4 new hires, 4 new recruits that had been barely employed and were about to go to the academy. So my job that day was pretty much to take care of them at the old Border Patrol Station on Zapata Highway. It's for the South Station. We call it Old Base 7. My job that day were to pretty much take care of them while they get sworn in.
So kind of field trained?
Yes, I was a field training officer. Still currently am.
I'm sorry?
I'm still a field training officer right now.
Okay, so you still do field training?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have a new recruit with you that day?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what was his name?
Johnny L. Smith.
Okay. And did you at any time that day visit Father McNaboe Park?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And how did you arrive at Father McNaboe Park?
I want to say by pure coincidence. My duties, like I said, were to be at the old the South Station. I was supposed to be there
Thank you so much.
as long as it took for the new recruits to get sworn in, speak to the chiefs, fill out some paperwork, and then a lot of times we're there all day. But thankfully that day around between 10 and 10:30, my team leader told me to pretty much start training my new recruit, my new field training, my trainee, Johnny L. Smith. He told me that he would take care of the new hires and for me to go to the field and commence his training.
Okay. Are you familiar with someone by the name of Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles?
Yes,
How are you familiar with him?
he was my supervisor on that particular day.
Obviously, right, Caroline? Just jealous.
Do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Can you point out an article of clothing that he is wearing?
black coat with black, might be a silver tie.
That's the record.
Silver shirt, I'm sorry.
Okay. Reflect that he's identified Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles in the courtroom. Now, you say he was your supervisor that day?
Yes.
Did you have any contact with him prior to going to Father McNaboe Park that morning?
Only at muster. He didn't give muster, but he was present at muster.
And what happened at muster? Do you recall?
We show up, they give the actual field agents their assignments for that day. And I believe whether it was the supervisor leading muster or the watch commander asked him if they had anything to say. I remember him speaking that morning. I think he gave us some words of things to do. I forgot what it was as far as our duties. And that's how I remember him that day, that he was present at muster.
Had he been your supervisor previous to this day?
Yes.
How long had you worked under his supervision, if you can recall? Or how many times?
I guess as far, I don't remember exactly when he became a supervisor, but however long he was a supervisor, however many years or months he was a supervisor prior to that day, April 9th, 2018.
Now, I want to focus your attention to when you arrived at Father McNaboe Park. Do you remember arriving there?
Yes, I do.
You remember how it's a complex, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
He was a supervisor.
It's pretty big.
Do you remember how you gained entry into the park?
On that particular morning, we came in through Lowry. We went west. And at the entrance of that park, that certain area to the soccer fields, there is a gate to the left. And that gate on that particular morning, it was open. So that's how we gained entry into that area that we called the soccer fields.
Okay. If I can ask him to step down, Your Honor, just to show the jury his location.
Thank you.
I'm going to hold this up for you
Cardboard maps.
and ask you to.
Once again, let's just start over here. I want to
Okay.
go with the court.
Come over here,
Yes.
please. And hold it.
Oh no. Don't hold it in front of the camera. This is not good.
All right.
There you
so
go. There you go.
You orient us here.
Yes, we came down Allen. From Allen, we went west towards the entrance to this area. That's the end of Lowry. And then to the left is the gate that's usually at the time, up until that time, it was usually locked. That particular morning it was open, so we went into the park through that area, which we call the soccer field.
Okay. Judge, has this one been withdrawn so you can mark it?
Okay.
Yes. I think it's, what number is that?
Number is up there. 97.
Yes, it's been withdrawn. You haven't readmitted it yet.
So you can mark it.
Yeah.
Okay, I do see some issues there.
Teresa, I
Okay,
wonder
so
if the
I
defense.
want
What is
you
the defense
to-
going to say?
With this black pen, mark where you entered the park, you said on Lowry? Yeah.
There's a gate, so through this area.
Show me an arrow. Oh, draw an arrow.
Eh,
Okay, put your initials above that. Okay, and can you show us where the gate is?
The gate should be somewhere around this area, sir, as well.
Okay.
I don't know if you want me to.
Yeah, draw a line where you think the gate is.
It should be right at the entrance. As soon as you take a left, there's a gate right there.
Okay. From here, where did you go?
We went south, and at the time there was a Conex box here. That's where we parked in this little parking lot area. We reversed into that area.
Is it in here?
Yes, this area.
Okay. So you can put a P there where, or
Yes.
where you parked? Okay. Did you reverse into this area?
Yes, I did. My truck was facing east into the neighborhood.
Thank you, Elf.
And put your initials right there. Okay, and how long were you parked there?
No more than 5 minutes.
What were you doing?
We were going to laminate some maps that I had assigned my trainee that morning. He did not complete the mission over the weekend, so we were going to laminate them with packaging tape.
Okay. Were you supposed to be in this area?
Not initially, no, sir. We ended up there by pure coincidence.
The defense is gonna go with that coincidence. They're gonna go with
The time
that.
that you were there, did you end up moving your vehicle at any time after departing it?
Only after, at the time, Mr. Burgos asked me for my assistance.
Okay. And we'll get into that, but now that I have you standing
Yes.
here, you say he asked you for assistance. Where would you have moved from here?
From here, I would have moved to this area,
Okay.
which is south towards what we call the Bettis property over here.
Did you drive or walk?
We drove, sir, once he asked for my assistance.
Okay, so show me the direction you drove.
We drove across the field.
Oh, you cut through the field?
Yes, to the soccer fields.
Where did you cut to?
Through here, there's a dip.
Uh-huh.
And then once we get, because there's areas, at the time there was a bunch of brush and trees. There still is. But at the time we came through this dip, I remember I went around, I guess, I don't know if you want to mark. This is where I
Welcome,
parked.
Debbie.
Yeah.
When I came to his assistance, I saw his truck on this side and I parked directly across him.
Okay, so this is without marking it.
Yes.
it's to
I think that's what the
mark
defense is
here.
going for.
Which
By
is,
coincidence, you
You know,
say.
area where the,
What exactly were you doing there?
Yes.
Do you remember this island?
Yes, I do. So I would have parked there initially when I came across.
Okay. All right. That's all for now.
Yes.
Have a seat. So going back to where you were, you said you went in there, you reversed in to that area next to the soccer field or next to the Connex box. You were there with Smith, you said.
Yes.
Laminating maps. What, if anything, happens while you're laminating?
We commenced to do that, and no more than 5 minutes later, my trainee Smitty says, "Hey, there's another kilo coming in." So
Kilo, what's a kilo?
it's a Ford F-150.
Okay.
What happens?
I look over and I see the kilo driving on the same Lowry's driving west, and it kind of slows down as it comes to us, and we eventually find out it's Mr. Burgos.
Let's go to you.
I'm in contact with Supervisor Burgos?
Yes, after he parks to, I guess, our passenger side.
And what happens next?
We call it, he slow rolls to us. I am facing the neighborhood. His truck is facing, when he parks to our passenger side, his truck is facing the river. We lower our window. He lowers his passenger window. And I go ahead and tell my trainee, "Hey, it's Supervisor Burgos." And at that moment in time, he's grabbing onto his steering wheel and he's just looking over quietly, kind of just like leaning over. And I told my trainee, "Hey, it's Supervisor Burgos." I tell him, "Hey, sir, we heard you're going to be short-handed. We're going to be in the area if you need it. We're just going to be laminating maps." So he's quiet and he looks at his phone and then he says, "Hey, they just told me to 22, base 2, which means go back to the station." And he's like, "Do you know if there's a way out this way, which means south?"
And south is past the soccer field?
Yes, it's towards that Pettis property where I guess there's that little dip that goes to an ATV trail.
To the brush.
Yes. So I told him at the time I did not remember. So I told him,
Microphones
to be honest,
need
I don't
some
remember.
fixing.
And he's
Court.
like, "It's okay." I was like, something to the effect like, "That's okay, I'll go find out," or something like that. So when he leaves, we raise our window, and then I told my trainee, like, "You know what, Smitty? I just remembered that they're building apartments. I think that area where he's trying to get out is blocked." So I'm like, "It sucks to be him. Let him find out the hard way." And we continue doing our thing, laminating maps.
Mm-hmm.
After you said that it sucks to be him, what happened?
We continue laminating maps. He's cutting the maps. I'm trying to laminate them with the packaging tape. And no more than a minute and a half, less than 2 minutes later, we hear him over the actual radio. And when we hear Lara, Lara, something to the effect like, I need you. That's Lara, Lara, get over here. So as soon as I hear my name, Lara, Lara, with some urgency, I drop what we're doing and we drive across the soccer fields to his position.
You hear him calling for help. You arrive on scene.
Yes, when I get to that dip, we hit it pretty hard. Everything flies all over the place, and I can feel my tires slipping. It's like not enough traction's going. So I hit it pretty hard, like we come around, and as I get around the brush, the ATV trail, I could see on the other side of where he's parked, I can see his overhead lights, his red and blues. So he's parked like in a circular area. He parks on the other side, and I park on the opposite side of him. That's where I eventually meet up with him.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Heather. Should bang the mic with a rock. It may fix it. If anyone in the courtroom is watching, like the cameraman,
Yes.
the mic reverb is bad.
Yes.
From Walmart, yes.
Yes.
Gene on top there. April 9th, 2018, found 2 hours later.
State
Same day.
77, being offered. Any objection?
Found by the alleged killer.
Be admitted without objection.
Permission to play the transmission.
You may publish. Yeah, play.
He just was like that the whole time. Sniffing that finger. So yes, that's what's so shocking, is that Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles, the supervisor, Border Patrol Supervisor, is the one who found the bodies. He's the one charged with the murders, the one having this death penalty trial. We've gone over that
you gonna play?
timeline. Just that was a quick recap. So it's so shocking. And he thought he was so smart.
Water. Here. We'll do it right after this.
What are they looking for now? What a courtroom layout, huh? The tables like that. Very different than what I've seen. Yes, someone said they all think they're smart. Sisu says they all think they're smart.
Mr. Johnny, we're going to take the opportunity to, there's indication by the jury that they need a quick break, so before you play, maybe you can work the kinks out of that while they're out on break. All
Oh,
right,
dear.
Be about be a quick break, guys, 5 minutes.
So
Inside
5
of
minutes.
10.
So it's 10 past now. Let's see. They said 5 minutes, but then afterwards we heard the mumble of 10, something about 10. So if it's 10 past now, let's see how many minutes it actually is. Wow. Okay. So There's just so much discombobulation going on. It's actually hard to summarize what exactly is going on here the whole time, because every time we get going, then it's just like impeachment, another break. Brian W. says this guy has RPF, resting punk face. He does have resting punk face. He does indeed. So the witness that we've had so far today, let me just go back in my notes here. Oh, witnesses. We had Adriana Flores, who was Grizelda's best friend, and she knew some of the tea of, well, how they met and what he was like. That she didn't ever meet him, but she basically called him a douchebag a few times on text messages, because he said that he was separated from his wife. These are the stories that he told to Grizelda. Separated, not living in Laredo, and the bestie and her found out, well, he is actually living in Laredo and he's married with 2 kids. So they did some drive-bys past the house, and they were talking about basically what a dirtbag he is, because he doesn't want to pay child support at all for his son, Dominic, that he had with Grizelda when he was pretending that he was separated. But he didn't pay a cent ever for Dominic. Man. So we heard from Adriana Flores, Grizelda's best friend. And on March 25th, the day that Ronald, who called himself Anthony to everyone else, but Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles met his son for the first time, he injected his leg with something which caused it to get all inflamed and eventually caused the tissue to die, necrosis, right? And he was suffering greatly from that and could not walk again, which we heard from Grizelda's sister yesterday as well. But we heard from Adriana today that when Grizelda got back from that park meetup, she was in tears. She was in tears. She was angry and crying, and she said she regretted going to the park. It did not go well, So because she wanted Dominic to meet his father and for them to spend some time together, and then when she just walked to get a sippy cup and snacks for him, the next minute he's crying and in pain, but she couldn't figure out what it is. And they initially thought it was an insect bite, but the medical examiner yesterday said it was not an insect bite, from what she could see, and that's after he was murdered. Here for the truth says 5 Mexican minutes, 15 to 20. Okay. Texas time? Texas time. So we shall see. So I'm just reading some of your comments there. So that's pretty much what we heard from the best friend there. We saw some text messages and things like that as well. And then the witness, Bradley Dennison, a Border Patrol agent, also testified before the lunch break and when we came back. When we came back, he was cross-examined by the defense, and they tried to impeach him, as usual, which is their strategy. So, but he was so observant. Let me see all the things I wrote down here. That he talked about a muster, which is like a gathering at the beginning of every shift, where they go to a muster room, and all the Border Patrol agents meet up there. And that day was 6 o'clock, which we had heard before, that Ronald had clocked in at 6. I'm saying that because they also talk about this 8:01 when he was leaving his house. So I wonder if he clocked in and went back home and changed and then went to meet Grizelda and Dominic, because then he went back home again. And you could see him on camera. We haven't seen the footage, but in shorts and tennis shoes, going in the house and coming out. Well, they didn't see the footage coming out, but he arrived back on scene, in his uniform. So he just explained everything about a kilo unit, which is a pickup truck, a Ford F-150. And on April 9th, 2018, he was on duty, 6 a.m. start time for the day shift. And he was at the Father McNaboe Park, in between that and the World Trade Bridge, which we looked at on the map as well. So then Burgos was the supervisor, which is what the defense was going for. Like, are you jealous? Huh? You were never a supervisor, huh? Like, oh, so you wanted his job. Wow. So around 9 a.m. he says he saw Grizelda's car. He just saw a white Mercedes parked in the parking area. We looked at it on the map earlier as well. Just parked there, but sideways, not in the parking spot. And he noticed that she was on the phone. He took notice of the car because of how it was parked, and he saw a female in the car. Didn't really see anyone else in the car, but of course the baby would have been in the back. And she was talking on the phone. That's why I say, I wonder what Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles said to her to say, just come and meet me here. You've already come all the way here. Just come, just walk to me. I'm sure there's going to be evidence of some crap that he told her to meet her in the bushes, basically. And earlier, Magnetic Janet said, what your question was, why did Ronald want to be the one to find the bodies, and why that same day putting himself at the scene of the crimes? I think it's because cell phone data would put him there firstly. There was a camera there that took a snapshot of his car being parked there. I know the sensors weren't working, and he knew that, in that area because of the clearing they were doing that week. It could be all of those factors, and then I guess another psychological factor would be being in control. And maybe then we heard previously that he had thrown, that's from the opening statements, he'd thrown a shoe and moved the body. So I wonder if this Border Patrol agent will say anything like that. But he moved Grizelda's body. So that would be then saying, oh, sorry, I didn't know. I was just trying to be helpful or something, so that they could then not pin it on him, charge him with it. Maybe he thought that, contaminating the crime scene. Who knows? What do you guys think? Why do you think he wanted to be the one? Well, why do you think he wanted to be the one to find the bodies, and why that same day? I mean, that was quick, He literally went home, shower, changed, came back, and then he's like, oh, discovered the bodies. So, yes. Jean says, thank you for explaining the timeline. That helps a lot, Miss G. Oh, it's my pleasure. T3 says, no doubt he took advantage of his job to this crime. Also, I'm sorry I'm making you stare at the ceiling too. Sorry about that. We don't want to stare at the ceiling. No, thank you. These are the victims. And we send their family lots of love. And everyone that's testifying as well. I mean, you could just see from Bradley Dennison, it takes so much out of someone to relive that entire event, of finding the baby's body. Oh, man. That must have been so rough. And he described it in great detail as well. It's just, the PTSD must be difficult, And there he's sitting reliving all of it again. So I hope he's okay. I hope he knows he's got lots of support here too. We are using emojis, white ribbons, or the baby Yoda. That is in support of the family and the victims. And then just to show solidarity that we have their back. And yeah, we're including the very brave witnesses as well. The family, the friends, Border Patrol agents, and everything. Deborah Kaiser, thank you so much for your sticker. I really appreciate it. Barbara says he has control issues. That's also what I'm thinking, especially that he's racing around. I mean, Bradley Dennison saw him racing, and then he said, what are you doing? When I say racing, I don't know if I'm speaking like South African. Driving very fast, erratically, from that World Trade Bridge area and trying to get back to the scene, right? Through the back roads is what we're understanding. And he was like, what are you doing? So he said, oh, I'm just exploring. And then shortly after that, when he gets to the scene where the bodies are, he's like, ooh, radios it in. There's an injured female. Injured? Yeah, you don't say, wow. He called it in, as in radioed it in and said, send an ambulance. And he stood there. And because he's Mr. Supervisor, he was on the other side of where her body was found, where everyone else was not literally putting themselves at the crime scene. He was in plain sight, probably thinking they're not ever going to think that it was him. His plan, as they said in the opening statements, was to make it look like smugglers had done this or something. Yes, this is it. Crystal Ann says he needed a reason for his DNA to be at the scene on everything, I believe, especially with that little belt keeper that had fallen in the front of his truck, which had blood on it. There was blood on the back of his truck too. I wonder if he wiped that at home. I don't know. All kinds, right? Eugene says, for all we know, he didn't think anyone knew about him. It was a secret and thought he would get away with it. I think he thought he was going to get away with it in plain sight, right? Oh my word, Casey Cat, I answered you earlier. If you Google it, it says it's Grogu, not Baby Yoda. But he had a Baby Yoda shirt on. That's what they said in the opening statements. He had a Baby Yoda shirt on. So I looked up Baby Yoda so that we could show support for him. If I need to change it, tell me that, then send me a picture, please. I am not a Star Wars fan or whichever other reference you had there. I'm sorry if that breaks anyone's heart. It always breaks Mr. Grizzly's heart. He likes Star Wars. I'm like, I don't know. But Baby Yoda, yes. I'm going to look it up again now. So, yes, Linda says PTSD is so debilitating. Right? And reliving all this traumatic stuff. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing, NC. The baby and mom are just precious, yes. Okay, so now they went at 10 past, right? So it's been 11 minutes. 5 minutes, maybe 10. They're going to come back any minute, but that depends if they've found whatever they're looking for at this point. The prosecution was looking for something before we left, yeah. Regina says, no, leave it here. So when I type in Baby Yoda, it comes up with Grogu. I want to get it right. It says, Din Grogu, colloquially referred to as Baby Yoda, is a fictional character from the Star Wars Disney original TV series. That's what it says. This. I'm not a pro at this stuff. Do you think I watch movies with all the true crime I do? No, I do not. But I think you know what we mean. When he was wearing a Baby Yoda shirt. That's what they said. And it said, Lucky I Am, which is just so sad to think that Ronald lifted that Lucky I Am shirt, trigger warning, and stabbed his son in the chest, and when that did not work for him, in the neck too. Wow. Yes, this he always reminds me of Alec Murdoch. When I think of that, of him just going back to the scene and calling it in too. Alec Murdoch literally called 911. Here, all the articles say he called 911, as in Ronald, but he radioed it in, is what we've heard from the trial. But think of Alec Murdoch, who tried to contaminate the entire scene. That's what I'm thinking of. Yes. Yes, indeed. Regina says, same, do you know movies here either? I don't watch movies. I don't watch series. Krista, like, it's fine, G. It's Baby Yoda. Thank you. I just want to make sure we've got the right one. And we're doing it out of the kindness of our hearts, okay? We want to show the family and Dominic and everyone support and love. And when you all share it, I mean, family does see it. This is why I do it. Because family sees it and they email and they say their hearts get so warm when they see everyone like sharing, you know, with like Kyron Horman's, the little frog sticker that we made for him. You know, they love seeing that. Like, oh, wow, everyone's like, they're paying attention. They're showing us support. Yes, indeed. Pat says, so is their family filling the seats on the prosecution side? The seats seem very empty on the defense side. That I'm not sure because of the camera angle, you know. I can't see very well there. I wish they could have multiple camera angles. That would be so great. Okay. Oh my word, what a dragon, imagine. That'll be once a year. I can do this, you guys. Once a year when I actually watch a movie. And literally, Mr. Grizzly's jaw is on the floor like, you watched a movie. Sonia says, it seems like he wanted to be part of the investigation to know the inside scoop. He probably didn't think it would lead to him that quickly. Right? And it was so quick. Okay, wait. Now they're coming back into the courtroom. I'm just going to put this picture right here. The sound is not on yet. Let's hope the microphone and everything is a bit better. Okay. Thank you, Sonia. I do wonder, Jinxie. That's a very sad thought. But it could be. It could be. Okay. So. They're giving the thumbs up. And audio is what we need. That's right. Jay Rothstein. Can we focus on what's important? That poor mother and baby. I'm still so shocked that whatever he said to her, he's like, no, just come and meet me here. And she's like, okay, you know, and then, damn, what happened? That's true, NC, because the babies look, his own son looked so much like this baby. Yes. V says, I live in Laredo, wanted to go to the court to see this in person, but my baby didn't want me to go, so I stayed with her. Glad you're streaming it because the court live stream is low quality. Thank you so much for being here with us. There's no sound, in case you guys are wondering, sound, and there's no sound yet. Yeah. Thank you for being here with us, everyone, but especially if you're family, friends, if you're local, welcome to the stream. Thank you for watching with us. Okay. Valerie says, oh, that is what they're going to play when they come back, when he radioed it in. Oh, interesting. Okay, that'll be good to hear. Ah, wildfire. Laying in wait. He was apparently waiting, and they said, Bradley Dennison said there was some grass that was like patted down almost. So I thought maybe he really did lure her for some sort of a picnic and then attack her. But no, it seems like he was waiting there. He was waiting in that grass like that. Sound is back on.
And we were about to play
Okay, there you go.
Exhibit 77. We're going to start with 77.1. Is that correct? Which is inside of 77. Very good. When you're ready.
Oh, we're listening. We've got our ears wide open.
Lara, copy 6-8.
Pause it. Did you just hear that?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean? Lara 6-8.
It's just star number. We don't have badge numbers, so that's how we're identified. It should be November 6-6, I think was the star number. But when he says that Lara November, his star number, that pretty much says Lara star number copy. That means, do you copy me? Do you hear me? So, yes.
Let it play, then you can explain any of the codes or whatever it is.
Lara, copy 6-8.
That it?
Hey, bro, I need your help right here, bro. My Bristol, man. And I'm calling 6-8. I'm on the EMS ASAP at the end of Bristol. River Road.
At the end of Bristol, River Road?
Bristol at the River Road ATV Trail.
What's the traffic?
And this is subject here needs help ASAP.
Yeah, what's the traffic, or what's the situation? What kind of EMS are we requesting?
940, I don't know yet. Stand by. Let me go check. Just have them come over here.
It's Bristol, the River Road. That's there in the Delwood area.
Yeah, 10-4.
Therefore, we'll be sending back for information on the subject.
There'll be female subject. Stand by. There's a lot of blood. We're trying to see if it's a head laceration or. A68-247. I'll be heading your way from the triple case.
All right, so you heard, what channel are you all on that transmission?
We are what's called Mosque Tower. That'll be the tower for Laredo North, sir.
Did you recognize the voices on that?
Yes.
What was going on there?
At the time, I did not know what was going on. When he called me Lada Lada, I get to his position. It doesn't take me more than a minute and a half. I get there. I see his truck with his overhead lights turned on. I start making my way to Mr. Burgos when I see him looking down the ATV trail, looking south. His body is standing outside of the truck with radio in hand, just looking down the ATV trail. So when I'm making my way to Mr. Burgos' truck, I see him looking south, so I look south and I see the silhouette of the victim.
Can I have him display on the map where you saw this?
You want him to come down?
Yeah, can you come down?
You can step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
On 101, Your Honor, we wanted to go ahead and withdraw 101.
101 was one of the exhibits that was already, it's already been withdrawn. Yes.
Very good. So you can stand over here.
Faith Crown of Jewels, the baby did scream and cry, and the meeting was cut
So-
short
You had described in your previous
on March 25th, 2018.
testimony about a dip. Is that, do you see that dip where you entered, or is it not on the?
It should be in this area.
Okay. So you enter, you can show the jury how you drove in.
We drove across soccer fields. We hit the dip. I get enough traction to get over. At the time, Mr. Burgos is parked on this side was his kilo truck. So I go ahead and park on the opposite side. So eventually when I'm trying to make my way to him, I see him looking down south towards the AVTV trail. That's when I look over and see the silhouette of the victim.
At any time, do you aware of another kilo unit coming, also arriving and parking behind Burgos?
After the fact,
Yeah,
it was
so-
Agent Dennison.
Okay, so there would have been,
At the time, it was just him and myself.
okay, but so after, you got there before Agent Dennison.
Yes.
So if you can indicate where you would best approximate Burgos' kilo unit was when you arrived with a B for Burgos.
Somewhere here.
Okay. And put a K for kilo. BK, right here next to it. Okay, and where did you put your kilo unit?
It should have been directly across from him.
Okay, so you can put more or less your last
Initial.
name or your initial. Okay. And the kilo unit there, right, K. And where did Dennison ultimately park his
It
vehicle?
should have been behind Mr. Burgos.
Okay, so put a D there for Dennison. Okay, and put the K for kilo unit. Okay. So now, describe and indicate for the jury what you saw.
Initially, all I could see was his overhead lights through the brush. At the time, it was pretty high brush, but I could still see enough of his kilos. I see the overheads. I don't know what I'm expecting. All I heard is that he called me. It sounded urgent, so my job is to get there as fast as I can. So I parked there. I'm looking over towards him, and that's when he's outside of his truck, looking south, the ATV trail.
South is towards me.
Yes, towards the Pettis property. There is a house over here, a landmark that we refer to as the Pettis property. So when I get there, he's looking south. So I look south and I see the silhouette of the young woman. So I completely forget about Mr. Burgos and I start running towards the victim.
Is off this island, where would the victim's body be, more or less?
Somewhere in this area. because this is the island, so she would have been like around right
Somewhere
here.
around here?
Yes.
Okay. So then what do you do when you see the victim?
As soon as I see the victim, I approach and I start yelling, like, "Señora, señora, despierta, estás despierta, ma'am, wake up." Because at this time, all I see is blood. I told my trainee, I call him Schmitty. I like, "Schmitty, is that what I think I'm looking at?" And I see the silhouette, and I immediately start running towards her. And that's when I tell him, like, I start yelling at her, "Estás despierta, are you awake?"
Shame.
So at that time, initially, right away, I said, "Sir, do you have any gloves?" Which he said, "No, I do not."
Who did you say that to?
Initially, I asked Mr. Burgos, "Do you have any gloves?" He's like, "No, I do not." So I say, "I don't have any gloves." And I asked my trainee, Schmitty, "Do you have any gloves?" And thankfully, being the great agent that he was, he did have a pair of gloves. So he goes ahead and tells me, like, "Sir, I have gloves." So I take them both. I grab one and I give one to Mr. Burgos. I put the glove as best as I can, immediately check for a pulse. I don't feel a pulse. Before anything, I'm radioing everything in to, initially, before I even touch her, I radio everything into our station, base 2, and I'm telling them what we're seeing.
Hold on, Agent Lara. I think
Yes.
you can take
The
the
defense
stand.
is
I think
gonna
this
go
is
for
good
this guy.
Take the stand.
Thank you,
And continue over there.
Appreciate it.
Burgos is like, I don't have a glove. You're the supervisor.
So continue. You're radioing in the intel that you have, right?
Yes. Radio in that we have a female. I'm not sure at the time. I think I tell them, let me see if it's a laceration or a head wound. All I know is that I'm seeing a woman covered in blood. There's blood on the ground. So I tell them to stand by. I put on the glove as best as I can, and I immediately check for a pulse. I don't feel a pulse. I look at my fingers, and they're covered in blood because I checked her neck area. So I don't feel a pulse. So I immediately see her left wrist. It's facing up. I check her wrist, and again, I do not feel a pulse. Right away, I tell Mr. Burgos, "Sir, I think she's 10-7, which means that she's dead." And he's like, "Yeah, it looks that way."
Wow.
So I'm radioing everything into our station, and I'm letting them know what I'm seeing. So I told our station, we have a female that appears to be deceased, and I'm telling them there's blood to the top of her head, to the left, to the body. There's blood splatter all over. The blood's a little bit coagulated. And at that moment, the supervisor at the station, I believe it's Supervisor Ali, tells me, "Okay, take a step back and treat it as a crime scene."
What is Burgos doing at this time?
At this time, he's standing there. Not really. The supervisor normally takes control of the situation and radios in everything to the station. Once again, he's quiet. I'm the one relaying everything that I'm seeing to the station. I'm processing everything in. I'm taking it in. And I'm telling them what I'm seeing. And right away, I start telling the camera operator to start scanning the river. I
Okay.
tell him, scan the river, see if you see anybody going back. Scan the Mexican side on the ridges, see if you see anybody out there. I hear the boat patrolling the area, and they ask if we want them to come to our area, which I tell them, of course, come up, try to check the landings where they come up, try to see if you see any tracks, any sign, any mud. I believe also a helicopter pilot reached out to us over the radio, and he asked if we wanted them to give us a flyby. I believe at the time they were coming back to Laredo to refuel. So we tell them to go ahead, please come into the area. And the impression that I got from the pilot at the time was that he's fairly new, because he did not really know where the Pettis property was. So I do remember I told him, come fly south of the river until you get to what's called the CPNL, the Central Power Light Company. And I told him, if you come south, eventually you should see all the vehicles, overheads or whatnot.
Okay, so you're giving all these
Man.
transmissions. You already checked for a pulse.
Yes.
Does Mr. Burgos do anything around this time?
Not at that time, no sir.
What else do you see him do at any time? At any time did you see him touch the body?
after I sent my agent Schmitty to
Yes.
go to Allen Street in Bristol to open the gate for the paramedics, I believe he took my truck. So for a moment there, we're by ourselves. After that's when I see him move the body.
Okay, and when you say move the body, can you demonstrate for us if you
Yes, yes.
come down here?
So this is the agent that
Yes.
saw him move the body.
County Judge? Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor.
He had the victim's phone in his truck. That and because his
Time.
sister,
I'm standing
her sister.
next to the victim.
I'll answer later.
I check her. Mr. Boulders is standing over here to, I guess, on the other side of her. So I tell him she's 10-7 with me, she's dead. Radio everything in. I tell base 2, I think she's dead. They tell me take a step back, trigger the crime scene. So before anything, I told my trainee, go to the gate and open it for the paramedics. He takes off. So before I take a step back, I'm surprised to see so much blood. So I grab my head and I'm like, where is all this blood coming from? So at that moment, Mr. Burgos is like, cuts in front of me. He's like, let's find out.
Oh my word.
He grabs her from the bicep area, grabs her from the hip area, picks her up, looks at her, puts her back down.
No, with no gloves.
He does that, and my eyes were wide open. I was like, what is going on? And I take a step back. At the time he picks her up, I could see the shadow of her face, full of dirt. I could see her hair over her face, but I do not get a clear picture of her. But I am so freaking out and in shock because I don't know what I'm looking at. So he puts her back down, goes back over her. He's like, you know what? This stuff makes me nervous. I'm going to go back down this way. And he points south again towards the Pettis property. And he walks away, and I see him with his phone in his hand. He's doing something. At the time, I'm thinking he's going to call base 2, but from what I understand, he never did.
That was hectic. It's like, let's find out. And just turns her body over with no gloves.
Are you going to do all three, all the rest, the other two, 77.2 and
It's a
.3?
remainder of 77.1.
Okay, defense, what you got, huh?
Fine.
Hey, Cameron, you just try to see you scan the river, bro. She's on the dirt road. We don't know if she's 10-7, looking calculated. But somewhere from the head area.
They're focusing for a team scanning, but I don't see no movement.
Hey, November, you with that traffic, copy Omaha 7 here. Can we assist you with anything? Are you looking for somebody?
Hey, Omaha, you copy? I think they're on walkie there, but I believe they encountered one subject, I guess, bleeding. Yeah, if you could make your way down there just to see if they have additional traffic.
10-4, what was the 20?
Yeah, it's going to be at the end of Bristol, down towards the ATV trail at the end of Bristol.
Okay, Roger, 13.
November 16th, na po rin copy ay Mrs. Supervisor, 13.
Yeah, 10-4, I'm here with Lara. Any of the agents heading this way, just stand by. Stand by. Hey, we're gonna try to... Hey, 6-8, Copy Davis.
Any unit by World Trade. There's 2 subjects from DD 8147 down river side of the World Trade, and bank stamping signal.
Hey, 940, copy base 2. Can you notify LPD if you have not done so to respond to that traffic as well and the Bristol?
Yeah, PD and EMS were reminded, sir. They were both fast, simultaneously.
Now, after he said he walked away south towards the Bettis property. You said he was messing with his phone. What if anything else did you see him do, or what happened?
He goes south. I lose him down the ATV trail for a few moments. Eventually he comes back because I lose sight of him around a curve. A few moments later he comes back with a tennis shoe, and he's grabbing him by the shoelace.
Oh my gosh.
And he's coming back with the tennis shoe towards my position. I didn't think nothing of it at first, so I'm like, I asked him, hey sir, what do you have there? What do you got there? He's like, oh, I found this shoe in the brush. In my mind, I'm, okay, he found his shoe. Same thing, I didn't think nothing of it. So he's walking back, and what shocked me was that he put it at the base of her feet.
Oh my word.
And he just put it there. So again, he puts it there, and as soon as he does that, he starts dragging his feet, kind of like when you're skiing. He's just dragging his feet to the point where he's picking up dirt. Once again, I'm like, I don't understand what I'm looking at, because I specifically told him there's blood over here to the right of the head, over here to the left. There's blood splatter exactly where he was picking up the dirt. So I'm just processing this quietly and just making mental notes, because at the time he was my supervisor in charge of me. So in my mind, I'm nobody to be telling him what to do. He tells me what to do. I am a field training officer at this time, but as a supervisor, he's in charge of me. So I remain quiet. By this time, I believe Agent Dennison and Schmitty and I think Agent Herndon are coming back to the scene with the paramedics. And at that time, everything just starts happening.
All right, let me stop you right there. I'm going to show you, this is a graphic photo.
Don't show us, cameraman.
This graphic photo.
So he actually put the shoe right by her feet. I mean, how would he know it's her shoe? You know what I mean? Even that, oh my word. And Burgos was the supervisor, so he should have been the one to call this all in, and he wasn't.
Yes, sir. That is the victim, the young woman. At the base of her feet is that shoe that Mr. Burgos placed after he came back from the trail.
Okay. I'm going to show you 131. You recognize that shoe?
Yes.
There, okay,
Now that
yeah.
we have the shoe. We filed the chain of custody affidavit, permission to show Agent Lara the shoe.
Is it tagged?
Yes.
Okay, so we saw the shoe. It didn't show the other graphic photo. Thank goodness. Marcia, probably. I mean, if this was his plan, that would be really dumb.
What's the exhibit? What's the
All right,
exhibit?
this is
Probably.
State's Exhibit 37.
My guess is he would have wanted to put them in the water, right?
Okay.
This is previously marked as State's Exhibit 37.
All right, it's not admitted yet, so.
But we do have our affidavit, chain of custody. And we've moved to
Yeah,
admit
Elizabeth says, how did he know it was her
State's
shoe?
Exhibit 37.
Sure.
Move to introduce it.
Any objection to 37? States 37. Admitted.
I ask you to put these on.
Yes.
Man, I feel so sorry for this agent. Francisco Noes Lara. That's so loud. It's like right by the microphone. Oh, the shoe is there. Okay, they're gonna show the shoe. Shame. Okay. Oh no. Is he okay? Oh, gloves, okay. I can't believe he just like, well, let's find out, shall we? And just turned her over. That's next level.
I'm going to show you what came out of the bags that mark State's Exhibit 37. Ask you if you recognize the shoe.
Yes, that is a shoe that Mr. Burgos brought back to the scene.
Is it the left shoe or the right shoe? What came
This
out?
is the left. Not muddied, not dirty.
You notice that there's been a cut.
Yes.
Did you make that cut on that?
No, I did not.
Okay. That would have been done by law enforcement. Or you don't know.
I would not know.
This shoe was not near the body when you arrived.
No, it was not.
In opening statements, they say he threw it. So we're going to hear a lot. What? Oh, he's filling up his cup.
After he drops the shoe, what, if anything, happens next?
Once again, he places a shoe, and immediately after, he starts dragging his feet. Dirt starts picking up a bit.
So weird.
So to me, that was, of course, not procedure, not protocol. In fact, to me, it was very strange that he was doing that.
Why? Why was it strange to you in that moment?
Because we were already told specifically not to tamper with the crime scene. We were told take a step back, treat it as a crime scene. And then being a supervisor and us being Border Patrol agents, we received training in crime scene management. So we kind of know what to do and what specifically what not to do.
Exactly.
Now, I'm going to show you what's been marked as States 182, and it is a graphic photo. This is right. Is that where vantage point are we looking at this from?
We are on the north side from here. We are looking south towards the ATV trail. The Pettis property, the house will be back further south around the trail.
You you standing near, is this vantage point from the island looking that way?
Yeah, I want to say yes.
On that, when I say island, I'm talking about where these two
Where-
roads come around.
Yes, the island would be back here.
Okay, so that would be the vantage point.
Yes, sir.
And you see the object that's in there as well.
Yeah, like
The
did
shoe.
did he not think that
So this is after
her family
police
knew
have
about him?
already placed the tape, correct?
Correct, sir.
So his treatment of the crime scene, you testify that is confusing to you, correct?
Yes.
What else, if anything, happens after that?
After he does all that, I'm still standing there on that same grassy little island. That's when Agent Dennison, Agent Herndon, and Schmitty are coming back in with the paramedics. As soon as the paramedics arrive, they grab their equipment, they place those little pads on her body and start checking for signs of life.
And any time that you're there with Supervisor Agent Burgos, does he indicate that he knows this person?
Not once.
So after the paramedics get there, what, if anything, did you do?
I'm still standing there. The paramedics finish checking her for life. One of them approaches me. And just to get confirmation for myself, I asked one of the paramedics, "Is she dead?" And he says, "We would not have stopped working on her if she was still alive."
Oh, shame. He's getting really upset.
Are you still wearing your gloves at this time?
No, at that time, as soon as I checked her pulse, I took them off, and I kind of just dropped them around the top of her head, somewhere in the brush. When the paramedic comes up to me and he says that, I look over to the young woman and I look at the crime scene, and I told the paramedic, "My gloves are there, I'm contaminating the scene."
Oh, defense is going for that.
So he's like, "It's understandable." So I go back and I grab the glove and I'm holding it, and at the time I don't know what to do with the glove that's bloodied. So I see both trucks, Mr. Burgos in the front, I believe it's Mr. Dennison in the back, so I just go to the first truck I see and I just put it in the back of the bed. At the time, I had no idea that he knew her, no indication of anything whatsoever. All I knew is that, hey, we're the good guys. Supervisor Burgos, at the time, I'm doing everything. I'm checking for life. In my mind, I'm thinking he's got my back as a law enforcement agent. He's watching my back. So I didn't think anything of it. So when I grabbed the glove, I just go over and I put it there just for safekeeping.
In the back of his kilo?
In the back of the bed of his kilo, yes, sir.
Oh, thank you, Rondala.
Does he make any phone calls while you're there to headquarters or for anything, or do anything?
Not at that moment, no, sir.
Did you see any cell phones on the victim, or did he tell you he found any cell phones?
No, sir.
Sure, you wanted to frame him, right?
Did you get to write a statement for the Laredo Police Department?
Yes, sir. On scene, I made an affidavit, a quick synopsis of what happened, the encounter.
Did you write one or did you write two?
On the scene, I wrote one, and at the police station, I wrote a second, like an addendum.
Now, Burgos bringing over the shoe, did that violate any protocols that you have?
Yes.
Which is what?
Disturbing the crime scene. In my mind, planting evidence.
Good point, Robin
Did he ever
Slaney.
give you any instructions to look for any subjects, go patrol, go investigate, check the riverbanks? Did he give you any orders?
No, sir. I was just doing what the supervisor at the station told me to do, was just take a step back and treat it as a crime scene.
go to the police station that afternoon or the next day?
It was that afternoon, sir.
Okay. And were you interviewed?
Yes, we were told, my trainee and I were told to give our official statement at the police station.
Were you involved in any way in the discovery of the baby?
No, sir.
Correct.
Because at that time, I was on top of Mr. Dennison's truck doing my affidavit.
He must have been
So the
shocked when he
only,
heard that.
person that you saw dead was the female. correct?
Yes, correct.
I'm going to pass the witness at this time.
Yes. Lily, Wayne says Dennison found the baby after this. Mm-hmm.
Any question from the defense? Yes,
Yeah,
okay. All right.
Ooh.
Mr. Boggs, go ahead.
Mr. Boggs, yes. What is he doing? Was that a sneeze?
Exhibit number 37.
States?
William Boggs.
Oh, yes.
I think they're gonna go with that glove that Lara put. They were like, oh, so you did this and this, and it was just a coincidence you were there. Let's see what they do. Fiona, him being the supervisor, not doing anything is a dead giveaway. Not doing his job, observing, disturbing the scene. I can't wait to hear the guilty verdict and see when it goes. We're going to be here together.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Do you still have gloves, sir?
No, sir, I do not.
Oh, sorry, we're going to give more gloves.
Thank you.
Now they really need to give him powder. Becky G's like, I think a sneeze. I think that was a sneeze he had there, yeah. Janet says, this man was great for the prosecutor. He really was.
Just
Shit.
need one?
One, sir?
Okay.
Yes.
I'm passing, this is the exhibit you previously examined, number 37, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that is the shoe that you saw Supervisor Burgos-Aviles place at the foot of the victim, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Take it back from him.
There is, you can see, where does it say memory foam?
Memory foam?
Yes, sir.
Well, it was very isolated, right? C minor ops. I'm also surprised no one heard any. Well, we don't know. We haven't heard that anyone heard screaming. But it's very isolated. It wasn't where the normal park area was, right? Shame they're traumatizing him by being like, hold
It'll
on
be on
to
the bottom,
shoe.
sir. I'm sorry. It'll be in the insole, on the heel.
So, and when you say the bottom, do you mean the inside? Of
The inside,
shoe?
yes, of the foam. I'm sorry.
Okay. And how big?
This is well.
You're taking it off, you're going to grab it again, I think. Just want to save some time.
It's true. I am, but
Oh no. The judge is like, don't take. It's just habit, yeah. Could you please take the shoe back, sir?
So I just want the record to be clear. It's inside the shoe. There's nowhere outside of the shoe that you can see the memory foam. Is that correct?
That's the only place I could see right now, sir.
Okay. And so, and is that big writing that it says memory foam?
It's pretty big, yes.
And I'm finished with it.
You want to go grab it, I guess.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Lobo Vulcana. Grizelda
And,
is a beautiful name.
You gave a statement to the police the next day. Is that correct?
The same afternoon, sir. Same day.
The same day.
Correct.
And do you recall making that statement to the
Yes.
police?
Yes.
And today,
It may have been
you
part of his
told us
statement,
that,
the memory foam one. We'll see now.
Mr. Supervisor Burgos-Aviles was dragging his feet. correct?
Yes.
Now, had you ever encountered a murder scene in the time that you've been a Border Patrol agent?
No.
Okay. So I think you'd indicated to everyone that this was and I don't want to put words in your mouth, so correct me, but it seemed like this was an overwhelming scene. There was a lot of blood.
I've dealt with blood, but the sight of the murdered woman was pretty traumatic.
So I understand that it was traumatic.
Yes.
But in the statement that you gave that same day, you never mentioned that Mr. Burgos-Aviles dragged his feet, did you?
Not till the second statement.
And by second statement, you mean the written statement, is that correct?
The addendum, yes.
Okay. It wasn't in the initial interview with the police that you said that Mr. Burgos-Aviles dragged his feet, correct?
The first one, just a brief synopsis. When we went to the station, we actually gave our verbal official statement. That's when I mentioned it.
Heather says Diff is going to impeach the memory foam's memory.
You would recognize a transcription of your verbal statement, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Okay.
So they're probably still trying to say, well, Dennison, it's because he was jealous of Burgos' job. And how would he know that it said memory foam unless you look inside the shoe?
And I've marked this as Defense Exhibit 3.
Hello, Kitty. Thank you so much.
Sir, that is 49 pages, correct?
It says 1 of 49, yes.
Okay. And you just told me that you said in that little statement that you said that Mr. Burgos-Aviles dragged his feet in that original one. It is 49 pages, so it's quite long. But could you show me where in that statement where you said that originally?
That's what it looks like, plur baby.
Hey, go ahead and look for it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Heather says now Border Patrol are considered shoe experts. Yes. T3 says 3.3K Grizzlies chatting in the den. It's so nice to have you all here. Thank you all for being here. Even if you're just lurking. Subscribe. No one will see. Become part of this community. Thank you so much for being here. What a trial this has been. This is day 2. Damn, a lot has happened since yesterday, huh? Opening statements, powerful witnesses, and the defense trying everything to impeach. Algoma one says he dragged his feet to cover the blood trails. So, tell me guys, why do you think he was dragging his feet? Michelle Miller said, this is beyond ridiculous. Yeah, they noticed his odd behavior, and as the supervisor, Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles was supposed to be calling this all in. He's the supervisor on the scene. He's supposed to be arranging everything, but he isn't. He wasn't doing that. Wow. Aaron Olson says, shout out to the mod, Aaron, to erase what he had already laid down, tracks. Right? Amber says, just to mess up the scene for Tracker or Hunter Dennison, to not find all the other evidence. To get rid of his shoe prints, to get rid of attack prints, to cover his boot tracks. Or his tennis shoe tracks, because he changed into tennies at some point, right? So it could be that.
This time, sure, I do not see it.
He was just contaminating, covering whatever he could.
And I want to make sure I understand that by today's testimony, when you said that you saw Mr. Supervisor Burgos-Aviles dragging his feet, carrying the tennis shoe, it was just you and he on the scene at that time?
Yes.
So Officer Smith, the trainee, wasn't present at that time, correct?
Correct.
And Officer Dennison was not present at that time, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the day of the incident, you'd already learned that Supervisor Burgos-Aviles was a suspect. You made a statement to the police, and in that statement to the police, you never mentioned him dragging his feet, correct?
Unless it was in the written statement that I put it.
They're making him read every page. In South African, now we'd say that looks like he's whipping his gat. That's what it looked like, the defense attorney there was doing when he's, what do we call that? I don't know how to say that in English. He's like storming off a little bit there, like, just give me those papers. He's not getting anywhere with him. This guy is just so quiet all the time, look at him. Eduardo is taking notes. Look at the security. Here. Security here. There's another one here. In a half, yeah. Something like that. Text message says, "We have your back, Officer Lara." Yes, we do. Shame. The things they're going through here.
And so, as I understand, Officer, you said you made an initial statement, which was just a summary,
Yes.
and then the next day you added. Was it the next day or later that day?
Later that afternoon.
Later that same afternoon. And so, the initial summary was before you knew that Burgos-Aviles, Supervisor Burgos-Aviles was a suspect. Is that correct?
One of the supervisors on scene had told me that he was their prime suspect. At the time, I thought it was because of the bloody glove that I had put in the back of his kilo. I did not have confirmation that he was actually the main suspect until around 6:30 that night, when another detective pretty much told me. The whole day I had my phone on me. As far as like when we were at the police station, I was getting calls and texts, and I would just glance at it, put it down, glance at it, put it down. Somebody's texting me, put it down. I didn't think nothing of it. After we're done with our questioning, about 5 hours later, around 6:30, when I'm released from the interview room, I go to the lobby of the police station. I am sitting next to Border Patrol Agent Herndon. I get a phone call from my team leader. My team leader tells me, "Hey, we already activated the Border Patrol unions, the lawyers for you. Before you make any statements, we already got lawyers." And I'm like, "We already made our official statement." He was surprised. He's like, "Oh, you did?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, before he hangs up, he's like, "Just so you know, there's a rumor saying that the dead woman is Burgos' side chick." I'm like, "All right, 10-4, let me call you back." I told Agent Herndon, "Hey, bro, there's a rumor saying that the dead woman is Burgos'," I use the word Sancha.
Shame, okay.
At that moment, we're talking. Another detective comes out, a big man. I know him as a boxer. He comes out, and I tell him, I still have my phone in my hand. I tell him, "Sir, we just heard a rumor that the dead woman is Burgos' side chick."
And then
The detective said, "Side chick, that's his baby mama. And there's a possibility the dead boy is his son." That's when everything just, I broke down is the word.
yeah.
Everything just, I felt like there's a weight on my shoulder, and I started crying. Because there I am thinking,
Wait,
I was getting angry and very upset. Shame, shame. Oh no, it's gonna make me cry.
Should we take a break? Just a moment.
I'm good, sir. Here I'm thinking we're supposed to be the good guys. He's supposed to be watching my back.
hold on. Give me 1 second.
And I broke. I was heartbroken.
1 second, Agent. Just going to question answer basis, Mr.
I'm good, sir.
Boggs.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was heartbroken.
1 second, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, second, sir. We're going to take a short break.
Yes, Your Honor.
Shame, he's trying to be so strong. Fury came to say hi. Oh man, that was tough. Fury, you're looking at the camera. Thank you for coming to say hi. That was really tough. Fury's our little protector. Hey. Oh, that was so tough, you guys. Fury knew it. Now what? That was nice and a much needed break. That's right, I'll go with just a view of the bacon wall. Oh, all the defense attorney. Eduardo's up there. We've got the lady up there. What is it? What's the problem? Is he pleading guilty? The judge is so annoyed. Oh, man. Oh, my word. Blackwater says, I just put my tea bag in the dishwasher and my fork in the bed. Must fight to the music. Sorry about that. What's happening now?
To make sure that there's a record of what occurred before the break.
There is a...
What occurred? What occurred?
Everybody keep it down, please. We're on the record. I believe that this is what I assume. Everything that actually happens in court is on the record, but go ahead and summarize what you believe should be on the record.
For the record, just before the break, there was a pause in the witness's cross-examination. Mr. Boggs was searching for documents, and Your Honor suggested that perhaps he proceed in a question and answer fashion. While he continued to search for the documents that he needed, the witness continued unprompted, injected his personal feelings about what he perceived at the time that had nothing to do with the evidence that was at issue. He made a statement that he believed they were supposed to be the good guys, and he began to cry on the stand, at which point the victim's family understandably also became emotional, but then had an outburst and said, thank you, yes, exactly. There was loud sobbing from the audience. And we believe, Your Honor, at this time we're going to move for a mistrial. The occurrence was extremely prejudicial. It was not just an outburst by a witness.
A mistrial? Come on, Judge.
The double impact.
Tell them.
Cannot be cured, we don't believe, by any instruction by Your Honor. This is also further prejudicial because it occurred during the merits phase of the trial rather than the penalty phase, which is a factor that CCA has considered. And when Your Honor has discretion to consider a motion for a mistrial, there are many factors to be considered, including the nature of the outburst, as well as whether the outburst created a substantial likelihood of...
Please, Judge, just say...
This was an extremely emotional moment in the courtroom, and I don't believe any jury would be able to disregard that, and to refuse to grant a mistrial at the time would violate Mr. Burgos-Aviles' rights under due process and his right to a fair trial and an impartial jury under both the Texas and the federal constitutions.
Wow. Okay,
right.
Okay, Judge.
Any response?
Yes, Your Honor, we respectfully disagree with the defense's position. Although Mr. Lara's testimony was emotional, it was elicited by Mr. Boggs.
Yes.
Rather than stop after the transcript in which he was unable to locate his previous statement regarding the dragging of his feet, he continued. Then there was no objection made by Mr. Boggs.
Exactly.
The witness was under the impression that he could continue to answer. He was giving his answer. It's an emotional case. We've already had multiple witnesses that have come up here and cried during their testimony based on what they saw that day, the trauma, the horrific nature, the gruesomeness, all the blood that was there at the crime scene. In the gallery, yes, there was some reactions in the gallery, but I do not think to the level where they would, as defense counsel said, would affect the jury. This is a highly emotional case already. The court can instruct the jury to disregard whatever they may have
Listen
heard.
to the judge.
We don't believe it rises to that level.
Okay, Judge. Counting on you.
You know, I try really hard to not,
Yes.
I don't want to say interject or interfere. I try to be the person that just is, wearing the calling the balls and strikes. We're in baseball season right now, right? And at times I do look at council table and think, hey, maybe I do it inadvertently, when I think perhaps there should be somebody, calling something out. And I did that in this situation when the witness kept on going. Mr. Boggs was just looking at him, and the witness kept on responding to a question in a long-winded fashion. And I kept on looking at Mr. Boggs. I even glanced at other counsel at the table to see if anybody was going to say anything. I saw other counsel reaching out to Mr. Boggs to see if, and I don't know what they were talking about, but I thought they were maybe talking about whether or not somebody should object. And I kept on looking over there. When nobody said anything, that's when I said, let's go, Mr. Boggs, let's proceed in a question-answer basis. This was after, and but I never instructed the witness to stop.
Yes.
When he said that, that's when I told him to wait a second, wait for the question. So I think there was ample opportunity for the
Exactly. Thank you, Judge.
defense team to stop the witness from testifying further. But in any event, I don't see it as a very light situation. I do have to make sure that we present to, in this case, a fair presentation of the evidence to this jury. The defendant deserves that, and the rules call for that. So in any event, in measuring what in fact occurred, I'm not quite sure the summary of everything that you said quite happened in that particular manner and with that type of emphasis, but there was in fact something of that nature close to what you in fact summarized. Obviously the record may not reflect the moans or whatnot that might have been coming from the gallery, but there was some. It wasn't very loud, but there was some. I certainly appreciate your objection now. I wish that there would have been somebody objected to beforehand. But in any event, your motion for mistrial is denied. Thank you.
Your Honor, we would also request very respectfully and with understanding that this is a terrible matter for everyone involved, that Your Honor remind the audience to please.
I will do that now, in fact. Thank you.
Mistrial
Two things I'm going to
denied.
instruct right now. One is the witness. Agent Lara, please answer the questions that are posed to you, and only the questions posed to you, and then stop after the question has been answered by you. This is not a session where in fact, if somebody asks for your opinion on something, there's probably going to be an objection of some sort. So it's not a forum to be able to, in fact, give your opinion on what you may think of a situation like that, unless in fact it's called for under the rules, and in fact that was not called for.
Yes, Your
Instruct you
Honor.
then to answer the questions posed to you, and only the questions, sir. To the audience in the gallery, in either way that you sit, I understand the loss. I don't put myself in your shoes, but I definitely understand the loss that you feel. You've been here at almost every hearing, in fact, 99.9% of all the hearings, and this is the days and weeks that you were waiting for to be able to give closure to this part of your lives, and I certainly understand, and I can't even know, maybe I shouldn't say that, I can't even begin to understand the pain that you must be suffering. However, I don't want to do this again.
Yes.
No one wants to go through this again.
No one.
And the more of that occurs, the more that possibility grows. So please refrain from comments and I'm not saying you can't whisper to somebody something or whatever, but I'm talking about where the jury may hear you. I don't want any of that. If you don't think that you're going to be able to do so, and I certainly understand that you will, if you will not, then please excuse yourself and go outside. I know it's hard to do. I'm sitting here talking to you like if not knowing and not ever being in the type of shoes that you are in, and I'm not trying to substitute for that. But I'm only here to do this job, right? And I need to assure that this proceeding is done in a fair and impartial manner, that the rules are followed, and that we only do this one time. That's it. And unless I do my job, like instructing you the way I'm instructing you now, and the witness, that possibility grows less and less. So I know I won't like it, but I will remove anybody from the courtroom and not allow them to come back into the proceedings if in fact any outbursts like that or worse occur. Thank you.
That's tough.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Bring jury back in.
That's tough on the judge, though. Right? It's not like he wants to, say that. It just needs to be fair trial, death penalty case. By the end of next week, it could be
Quickly, please. Jury's coming.
done. Wow. That was hectic. If you guys missed it, the witness, Mr. Lara, got really emotional, and then all of us did. I mean, Fury even came in here. He could feel our energy, you guys. Yeah. And then there was a break. And that's what this is all about. The defense immediately is like, okay, we filed for mistrial. Yes, he doesn't want to risk a mistrial. Shame. The judge, you could see it's tough on him. Look at his face. Yeah. So they're bringing the jury back in.
Please have a seat. Thank you. Members of the jury, before we went out to break, there was a part of the testimony perhaps unsolicited from the witness that was objected to, and I in fact sustained the objection, and then I am now instructing you, therefore, that the opinion given by the witness with regard to who they are and what they stand for and what not will be disregarded by this jury. That you, when the time comes to make a decision on this case, that you will not take that into account or factor that in any manner when making a decision on whether this defendant is guilty or not guilty of this crime that he is accused of by the grand jury in this state. You are not allowed to weigh in your consideration or mention it during your deliberations. That is the instructions I gave you. I told you at the beginning that you may receive more instructions. This is one of them. I told you don't concern yourself with the objections made or how many, but with the instructions I give you if something occurs as a result of that. This is one of them. Also, you will disregard, and the only thing that's evidence is what? The only thing you can consider is evidence, right? The only thing that's evidence that comes from here, not what comes from out there, from the gallery. You will disregard any comments that you may hear or outbursts that you may hear as a result of that. You will not allow any of that to weigh in when evaluating whether or not a defendant is guilty or not guilty. I'm instructing you, in fact, to therefore not do so when the time comes. Thank you. Any other questions of this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Boggs is at it again.
Thank you, officer. So, just to back up a little bit, you'd indicated that in your oral statement given on the day of the murders that you did not mention Supervisor Burgos-Aviles dragging his feet, correct?
I might have mentioned it on the written statement, sir.
The written statement. So when you say you might have, would it? Do you mean you don't remember, or you?
I do not recall it this time.
Would it refresh your recollection to see your written statements?
Yes.
Christina.
And I believe, Officer, you gave 3 written statements. Is that correct?
As 2.
2.
So the trains are in the background
so
there.
I am permission to approach.
Road.
So if you guys missed it, this is what caused the outburst that Border Patrol Agent Lara said, "I thought we were the good guys." And then someone in the gallery said, exactly, that is what now
And I've marked them
caused all of that.
for the record as defendants exhibits 4 and 5.
Thank you.
Each are 2 pages. Those are the written statements that you gave on the day of the murders, April 9th.
Yes, they are. I'm sorry.
And just without reading them aloud, take your time, look them over, and let me know when your recollection is refreshed.
Is your recollection refreshed? Oh man, this is just... And it was such a good testimony. Everything else still stays. It's just that one statement. The defense brought it on, and they didn't object to it. Yeah, now Mr. Lara might feel even worse. Shame.
It does not specify here, not that I can see.
So I apologize. Your recollection is refreshed. Sorry, I have to do certain things for the record.
Yes, it is.
All right. And having your recollection refreshed, you didn't mention Supervisor Burgos-Aviles dragging his feet at the crime scene the day of the murders in either your written statement or your oral statement. Is that, am I understanding correctly?
Throughout the process of the case, I recollect certain events that were otherwise that I couldn't recall at the time.
And I apologize. I should take those.
Yes. Thank you.
So you just told me that you've recollected certain things over time that you didn't remember at the time, correct?
I want to say yes.
Okay. And I just want to make sure everyone understands and the record is clear. The oral statement and these written statements happened the day of the incident, when very soon after the incident, correct?
Correct.
And over the years, memories have come back to you. Is that what you're telling us?
What I'm saying is that at the time when all this occurred, certain information that was not in my synopsis, I was under the impression that your client had enough integrity to disclose that information on himself.
Judge, I asked that editorializing be.
Sustained. I'm not gonna instruct you once again, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Shame.
You're a fact witness. Answer the questions factually, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is tough.
Thank you you've been very patient.
No, thank you, sir.
This is a very emotional case. Thank you for your patience. I pass the witness.
Text message is mad now.
Yes, sir.
I want to go back time of this crime to the date of April the 23rd of 2018, which would have been 14 days after April the 9th. Do you remember?
2 weeks after was, I believe, the bond hearing.
Okay. I want to go to the bond hearing.
Yes, sir.
You remember that I subpoenaed you to the bond hearing?
Yes, sir, correct.
Do you remember providing testimony
Yes, sir, I do.
at the bond hearing? You remember testifying there for more than maybe a couple of hours,
Yes, sir.
where you were questioned by the state and the defense?
Yes, sir, I do remember.
And this was 14 days after the crime, correct?
Correct, sir.
Do you remember, and like Mr. Boggs said, you know, it's been a long time. Do you remember everything you said on that day?
Not everything. It's been 5 years.
Would it help you look at the transcript from that day?
Yes, sir.
Objection.
Approach, please.
He's getting really mad. I think if he could, he would charge right at Aviles, Burgos-Aviles. Just hold it together. Hold it together. Rando says, do any of these lawyers know how to use a microphone? I don't think so. Yeah, NC says, unfortunately, he has to disengage from any feelings. He's definitely struggling with that right now. Understandable, but he has to, yes. What is he screaming at now? What is... He's quite scary, actually, Mr. Boggs. Did you see how he just turned around and talked to that other guy? PT says, extra treat for Fury because he comforted you. Thank you so much. That's so sweet, Fury. You're sitting on the armchair again. Thank you so much. This trial. It's been interesting, huh? It's almost 5 o'clock in Texas. The judge did say on some days they're gonna push past 5, so this could be one of those days. Lacey says he was answering a question though. I know, and the defense's question. But they did not object when he just went on, and they could see, haha, he's gonna walk into this trap, basically. He's just gonna... They're looking for anything. They will try anything. Right? So they were looking for something, for a mistrial. I like this guy. He's found something. He's like, okay. He's part of the prosecution. Yes, zoom into him, cameraman. We love the cameraman. Yeah. Anyone can read what lips are we reading? What is he saying? Dana says, well, these defense attorneys whine a lot. I know. And as we speak, wait, that other hearing is happening. Yes, indeed, it's happening. Coburger, it's happening. I'll have to have a look afterwards. After a full day in court. That's right, Caroline. As time goes by, Fury may grow to the size of a panther, given his grizzly-powered snack nutrition. Definitely. Team Lara. Judge is frowning a lot. Yes, I want to know what has this guy found? What you got? I'm going to say ew. Someone, see minor ops says, someone in the chat said the defendant's good looking. I don't know, I don't see it. It doesn't matter if someone looked like, who should we say? Jason Momoa. When they kill, no. Gone. 0 out of 10. Raise your standards. And if you think they're hot because they killed, you got hybristophilia. You need some help. Yes. But either way, just even at face value, no, I don't see it. But I don't even want to see it. What's happening now? What's happening? 5 years later. 5 years of preparation. That's what the defense has. Yeah, Becky G says, gross, he's a killer. That's how I read it, right? Gross, he's a killer. Mm-hmm. Rochelle says, to each his own taste. Unless they're killers, that's where we draw the line. Here at Grizzly True Crime. Well, and everything before, right? Coercive controllers, DV abusers, SAists, all of them, all of those. I'm surprised he's not staring Mr. Burgos down. Blackwater says, he said I'm a douchebag. Scout's honor. Oh no. TN Wildflower says they are calling for a mistrial again. Well, all the tweets are coming in now. Thank you. There's a lot of tweets to catch up on. But from what I can tell, we're just talking Koberger for a second, even though I don't like to mix up cases, I like to just focus. What I can tell is, you know those videos where we did the deep dive on the DNA? Yeah, that's everything that was discussed. And the defense is still saying that the DNA found on the knife sheath snap is 5.37 octillion times more likely to belong to Brian Koberger than any other person. Yeah, Rebecca says the jury are going to catch on to what the defense are doing. And maybe they know it. And maybe they're really just looking for anything for mistrial. But what will that really help? A mistrial? Then you're going to go through all this again. What's your defense going to be then? Can't he just crack and say, you know what? I'm guilty. Yes, please. Take the death penalty then off the table and goodbye. That would be great. CJ's mom said, just saw your video of Fury feeding ladies awake. There's a few of Fury on that channel. It's on my second channel. It's in the description box if you guys don't know about my second channel. Yeah, the feeding ladies awake. That was him this morning, yeah. Humphrey says, octillion sounds enormous. 5.37 octillion. Yes. Caroline, octillion is how many arms a million octopi possess, right? Exactly. K Music Taylor, thank you so much for your super chat. You say, gee, this man is hideous. I mean, I could snark it up, but we'll save that for the member streams. How about that? Or we will snark it up about this defendant and his team, huh? Just building up the snark tank. It's not full yet. Yes, Janet, you gotta go see that short. My other channel is a shorts channel, by the way. YouTube shorts. That's what I make on there. Yes. Starzilla says, death penalty trial. Have to try everything to keep your client alive. Looking for a double jeopardy, possibly. Chopper says, they usually only ask for a mistrial towards the end. Well, here we are, day 2. Be kind says, snark tank. Yeah, my snark tank is filling up, but it's not full yet. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tracy, for sharing the link to my second channel for everyone asking. Shame in this. Can't they let the witness step down for a bit or what? He's just there listening to all of this. Right? Woody says I'm a snarkaholic. Okay, what's going to happen now? Dieter will keep his nose hairs. He's very proud of it, okay? Yes, and then? Brenda, I think the snark tank will be full by Friday.
Did not find in your written statement or in the transcript of your oral statement on April the 9th that you said he was dragging his feet.
No, sir.
Do you remember being subpoenaed to come to court on this case shortly after the murder?
I do remember, sir.
Okay. Do you remember testifying?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember me asking you questions in front of a judge?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember the specific questions I asked you? It's been 5 years. Do you remember specifically?
The who, what, when, where, why. I mean, not the why, sir, but yes.
Okay. But at this moment, you know word for word what I asked you 5 years ago.
Not word for word, no, sir.
Okay. I'm going to show you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 505, the reporter's record, in cause number 2018 CBJ 732T4. I approach.
Michelle, I would think he has literally a bug in his ear. That wouldn't surprise me. A literal bug. I don't mean the type you mean. And I think he's talking to himself, his own ego.
This is on April the 23rd of 2018. In the proceedings before the Honorable Oscar J. Hale, Jr. Remember going before Judge Hale?
Yes.
I want you to read to yourself on page 177 of this transcript from line 2 to line 24. Slowly.
That's a big file. He's getting angry again. We need one for this defendant.
Yes.
Back then, 14 days after these murders occurred, you remember me asking you, now, you mentioned then that you saw him come back. He brought a shoe that you said he found. He put it on the ground, and you said he dragged his feet?
Yes.
And you said he kind of dragged his feet to the point where dirt picked up.
Correct, sir.
Was that your response?
Yes, sir, it was.
Back then, 5 years ago?
Yes, sir.
Then I asked, and to the point where you thought this was not right.
I think that's
Yes.
that's it. That's all I'm going to allow for that part.
Okay. So, my question to you now is, this is not the first time at this trial that you testify that
Yes, it's not the first time.
that he was picking up or
Dragging his feet.
dragging his feet.
Yes, not the first time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any recross?
Oh, Mr. Boggs is rising.
No.
Oh,
Thank you, sir. You may step down and you go about your business. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Am I dismissed?
Yes, sir. You are dismissed.
Thank you.
I'm sure he wants to look at him as he leaves.
Okay. Your next witness will
Our
be
next witness is Juan Mercado.
Juan Mercado.
Yes, and that'll be Mr. Danny Elizondo, Assistant District Attorney, will be conducting direct.
Thank you.
I heard Juan. Is it Mercado? I'm gonna say witness Juan until I know. See, we're going past 5.
Mr. Mercado, come up all the way up, sir, please.
Mercado. I wonder how to
And I
spell
want
that.
to ask you, so you can remind me, sir, have you already been sworn in as a witness? You have not?
No.
Okay, please, sir. Tell me your full name.
Juan C. Mercado.
Thank you, sir. Please raise your right hand and be sworn.
Mercado.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Mercado.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat right up here. Go around the court reporter.
Juan Mercado.
Sit, pull up your chair, and tell us when you're ready.
Permission to proceed, Your Honor.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Mercado. Could you please state your full name for the record?
Juan C. Mercado.
Thank you. How are you currently employed
With Border Patrol.
with Border Patrol? And where do you currently live?
I live in North Dakota, Grand Forks.
Okay. Now, back on April 9th of 2018, where did you reside?
Here in Laredo, Texas.
And specifically, could you give us an address?
305 Pedrosa Street.
Okay.
Oh, the neighbor.
And
Not?
on April 9th in 2018, I assume at that residence you had neighbors, correct?
Yes.
Who were your neighbors, or at least
I like this guy.
relate to this matter that we're here in court for?
Burgos.
And do you see Mr. Burgos in court here today?
Yes, sir.
Could you please identify him with the piece of clothing that he's wearing?
The black suit.
He's smiling at
Let the record
him.
reflect
Oh
that the
my
witness has identified
gosh.
Mr. Burgos-Aviles.
Why? Why?
Okay.
Why?
So on April 9th, at your residence, did you have any surveillance systems installed?
Yes, sir. I had it all around the house.
Okay. What kind of
Excuse me.
system was this?
This is a DVR that has a hard drive in it. It was hardwired to a box in my room.
Okay, so this system you had isn't like a Ring or a Google Nest, correct?
No, this is straight up a box DVR, so it had his own hard drives.
Hardwired.
Mhm.
So the CCTV closed circuit. Nobody has access to it, internet, stuff like that.
That is correct.
Okay. And with regards to the way the camera operated, how would it store data?
To a hard drive integrated inside the box.
Okay.
Solid, yeah, it's like actual hard drive.
And did these cameras record 24/7 all the time?
They did not. They only record during a movement. If it detected a certain move, and then it started recording right after that.
Okay. So you would say then that these cameras would record based on motion? They were like
Yes,
motion sensors?
it's a motion, yes.
Okay. And on April 9th of 2018, was your surveillance system functioning?
Yes,
And it was recording everything properly?
that's correct.
I want to hear about the
Permission to
shorts and
proceed with this,
tennies.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
The smile, though. This guy, Burgos, smiling
Now
so much at
having
him,
what's
like
been marked as State's Exhibit 502.
he was almost like,
Are you
"Hey,
familiar with
bestie."
this item?
Yes,
How are you familiar with it?
they showed me the content, which is the video that was in my house.
That was in your house?
Yep.
Okay. Are there any markings on this particular item that indicate that you have reviewed it or recognized?
Yep, after we review it, I went and sign it for
Okay.
initial.
And the contents, you said that they were the videos, correct, from your surveillance system?
That is correct.
Are they true and accurate depictions of the way your house was
That is correct.
and the way the surveillance recorded?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, I now seek to admit into evidence State's Exhibit 502, and I'm tendering to defense 502.
Any objections to States 502?
No objections, Your Honor. Permission to publish.
502 is admitted without objection. You may
For the
publish.
record, Your Honor, 502 indicates or is there to represent the actual USB, and within 502 we will have point 1 through point 13.
Any objections to 502.1 through 502.13 that are inside of 502?
No objections, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please let us know which of the files that are inside of 502 you're playing so that the record reflect the same.
Yes, Your Honor. We'll be going in chronological order, so we're starting with 502.1.
Thank you.
Yes, just
Now,
like,
before
hey.
we begin,
Are we going to see
Border
it?
Patrol, so I'm going to start referring to you as Agent Mercado. Agent Mercado, could you open the screen? What are we seeing here?
Can we please see it? Oh.
Obviously, this is my pickup truck I used to have back in that day. It's in front of my house. I would say when you look face of it, it was to the right side camera. You can also see the neighbors' vehicles. There's 2 vehicles there.
Okay. And when you say the neighbor's vehicles, which neighbor?
Burgos.
Okay. And the 2
Burgos.
vehicles, are you familiar with those vehicles?
Yes.
So it looks like there's a vehicle that's closer to the camera and then one behind that vehicle. The one that's closer, do you know who would normally use that vehicle?
The one closer, that one, if I remember correctly, that would be the wife.
Okay. And the vehicle behind?
That would be the pickup truck from Burgos.
Okay.
Look like a unit, I think.
Well, we can take a look right now,
Yeah.
but I do want to address one more thing. On the 11th of May, an event happened that we're all familiar with, which was daylight savings.
Mhm.
And
Oh.
we see here that this camera, as its timestamp, indicates that it's 4 in the morning, or to be specific, 4:47 a.m. Was that time correct?
No, I had forgotten to adjust the time.
Okay. So what time would this video have actually taken place?
Should be hour after, so it should be
Okay.
5:47. That's correct.
And
Say every time. Yes.
okay, so an hour. The actual time is an hour ahead of what's recorded.
Yep.
And just to be clear, this is the case on all the recordings for that day.
Yes.
Okay. If we can play the video, please.
Got to look in the distance at the back there. Burgos getting into his car, going to clock into work at 6 a.m.
For purposes of the record, could you please describe to us what just occurred in that video?
Yeah, that was his personal pickup truck. He was leaving.
Leaving at 5:47 in the morning?
Yep.
Okay. We can go to the next video, please.
Okay, now we have more video.
For the record, State's Exhibit 502.2. What is it that we can pause? What is it that we're looking at here?
Okay, so this is the other side of my house. I had cameras on both ends. So if you look at the house from the street to my house, that will be the one on the left side, closer to Burgos' house.
Okay, so in this shot, where would Mr. Burgos' house be? On the right side? Or
On the right side.
On the right side. Okay. So we can play the video.
Thank you, P. Lola's mom. Okay, there he goes. And as I said, the time was actually 5:47.
And again, for purposes of the record, what was it that we just saw?
The same vehicle, which is Burgos' truck leaving his house.
All right. We can move on to
Burgos
the next
truck
video,
leaving his house.
which is 502.3 for the record. Go ahead.
Oh, sun isn't bright now.
So at this point, the timestamp on this video says 6/12/08/09. It's running in the morning. But again, you had testified earlier that that timestamp should be 1 hour ahead.
That's correct.
So it should be 7:11 in the morning.
Yep.
And for purposes of the record, on State's Exhibit 502.3, what is it that we saw?
It's the wife's vehicle leaving, or what I would know.
Because of
that's
daylight
her.
savings, Aaron. They just explained it.
We can go to the next video, please.
He forgot to adjust his camera to daylight savings time.
Again,
502.4, Mr. Elizondo?
yes, we're now looking at 502.4.
So you have to add an hour to everything.
Timestamp says 9:27 a.m., but to your testimony, it should read 10:27 a.m. Would you put it in the video, please?
Now we're going to see the
What is
tinnies.
it that we're seeing here on the screen at timestamp 6 seconds?
This is a kilo. What we know for a kilo truck is a pickup truck from Border Patrol.
And what is it? I mean, what is it doing?
He's parking on his house.
Who?
That will be Burgos' house, so him.
Okay.
Yeah, the defense will
And
be like,
again,
how do you know it's
for the
him?
record, what time would this have been at?
10:27.
AM or PM?
That's AM.
Okay.
So whatever time you guys see on top, they add an hour. That's what time it actually was, okay?
I know it's hard to see. If we can go back and pause.
We're going to see him get out. Laredo, Texas, Kelly. Laredo, Texas.
In the very top right corner, what is it that we're seeing?
It seems like it's Burgos in with shorts.
Where? I can't see the shorts.
Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor?
I want to see the... Is it like this? Just this? They're not showing us
Now
enough.
showing me what's been marked as States Exhibit 503 and 504. Are you familiar with these items?
Yes, same one's front screen.
What are they?
They're screenshot from that video.
Okay. And
Okay.
the true and accurate representations,
Show
and
us.
depictions of stills from your surveillance
That is correct.
system? All right. Thank you. And now tendering to defense States Exhibit 503 and 504 for inspection.
Yeah, Ecuador. Half the year it's correct. You just saw in the corner, like, maybe little ankles. Are we seeing anything else? Oh, the pictures, okay. Gonna resize it unless they show us more videos.
Admitted without objection.
Permission to publish 503 and 504, Your Honor?
You're going to switch to the other?
All right. I want to start here with the timestamp.
They're gonna show us more.
Still from your surveillance camera. What time
Okay.
are we looking at here?
Should be 10:27 a.m.
I want to focus
Still
your
can't see anything.
attention-
There. Okay. Yeah, cameraman. Thank you, cameraman.
Bear with me here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
The corner right here. What is it that we're seeing right here?
Oh.
Burgos with shorts and black shoes.
Shorts. While he's supposed to be on duty in his uniform.
Now, I want to one more time with States Exhibit 504. Could you
Juan
please give
was
me the
his neighbor.
timestamp on this one?
At the time.
10:27 a.m.
All right. And the same thing is that we were looking at there.
That's still Burgos with the shorts turning around. Or something.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I know it's hard to see, but are you able to identify the shoes as to whether or
Feetsies.
not it would be something a Border Patrol agent would be wearing?
No,
Okay.
it would be in boots.
But you are familiar with what Border Patrol wears while they're on duty, correct?
That is correct.
And let me ask you, are shorts something that an on-duty Border Patrol agent, especially in a supervisory position, is allowed to wear?
No.
Don't mind me while I do this quickly. Let me do it fast. There you go. I'm going to leave it like this now. So he was his neighbor at the time.
the record, we have 502.5. We can play it.
Oh. No, it's coming back at high speed, huh? Whoa, damn. Look at him driving in there. And this would be after the murders. The murders were committed between 9:55 and 10.
The
Anything
kilo
else?
unit or picker truck going to Burgos' house.
Okay. And the time?
10:26 on that one a.m.
Okay. We can continue on to the next video.
He was also a Border Patrol agent, and he was also his neighbor. And I'm guessing, by the way, that Burgos smiled at him. He was his friend.
We have here on states 502.6.
It will be 10:27 a.m.
Alrighty? And if we can just play the video.
Oh, I didn't see that. I have to look very closely. On this, attorney. Cute. Yes, Janet.
What, if anything, occurred in that video?
Oh, I see it. I saw.
What occurred?
If anything.
This was when he get off and go inside the house.
Okay. So he's inside the house then?
Yes.
At this point. Alright. We can keep moving. Now publishing 502.7. What, if anything, occurred in states 502.7?
I believe this is when he returns to the vehicle. I'm not sure. I didn't see very close on that.
Yeah, there's not much going on there.
That's fine. And with regards to the time?
Yeah, it's
Here's the pin.
10:28 and it's still in the house.
Alright. Now publishing in States Exhibit 502.8.
I think this is just still showing he's in the house. He had 2 children with his wife.
Alright. We'll go to the end of that video. For purposes of the record, on 502.8 at timestamp 21 seconds, what time is it?
10:28 a.m.
Alright.
He's like,
Now going to publish states 502.9.
tennies. They did tell us. We don't see him leaving, so I don't know if we're gonna see him leaving. That just means he's still in the house.
We can pause right here. For purposes of the record, on states 502.9 at timestamp 57 seconds, what time is it?
10:31 a.m.
Alright, we can move on to the next video. Now publishing states exhibit 502.10.
So this is proving how long he was in the house, I would assume. He went in the house, shorts and tennis, shoes, showered, allegedly, because he came out and went back to the scene in uniform.
Purposes of the record, and this time, could you please tell me the seconds as well? At State's Exhibit 502.10 at timestamp 30 seconds. What time is it?
It's 10:31, 58 second a.m.
So about 10:32, would you say?
Yep.
All right. Next video, please. You're now publishing State's Exhibit 502.11.
I also wonder, Davey says, so what did he do with the other trousers and boots? Do they have them? I don't know.
Under the kilo unit that you noted, do we see anything?
Yes, it seems this is when he returns to his vehicle. He's 2 feet moving around on the other side.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's 2 feet moving around the other side of the vehicle.
Okay, yeah, you could see under the car.
502.11 at time mark or timestamp 15 seconds. And for purposes of the record, at this
Same
point,
day.
what time is it?
10:34
All right.
a.m.
And then he got in on the other side of the car. Calculated.
Alrighty. Now going to publish State's Exhibit 502.12.
You know, in all these cases, it's always like the distant track with a tree in the way. Like the Chris Watts case, Letitia Stauch. Look at this tree in the way here. And off he goes, okay, 10:36. Why is it not 9:36? Because he forgot to change it with the daylight saving. So when you look at the time up there, add an hour for what the time really was.
For purposes of the record, we're on State's Exhibit 502.12 at timestamp 34 seconds. Would you please indicate to the jury what time it is?
10:36 a.m.
True, yes, yes.
And what is it, if anything, that we saw in this video?
You can see the feet moving around and get inside the vehicle and then backing up.
Okay. We can just play the rest of the video.
Okay.
And finally, I'm going to publish 502, State's Exhibit 502.13.
And off he goes. Driving erratically. Not maybe now. Let's see. Yeah, pretty fast. He's in a rush to get back to the scene.
We can pause right here. For purposes of the record, State's Exhibit 502.13 at time.
Brenda, you just see the two little feet. That's all you
Can
see.
indicate to the jury what time it is in this video?
10:37 a.m.
And what, if anything, did you see occur?
The same vehicle backing up from Burgos' house and then driving away.
All right. The vehicle that you saw both earlier enter the driveway and leave the driveway, what kind of vehicle was it?
It's a kilo unit, as we know, is pickup truck where we use for Border Patrol.
For Border Patrol. And it was it marked?
Yes, it's a marked unit.
And in total, roughly how long was he at his house?
I didn't do the numbers, but I will say 10 minutes.
Okay. And we can, I mean, if you want, we can play the video where...
Yeah, if you want me the exact numbers, like we can play the first one and then go back. But
So right now, just for your memory, it's 10:37, correct?
Okay, yes.
Okay. And if we can go to State's Exhibit... No, if we can get rid of 4, 502.4.
10 minutes. Yep.
And just for purposes of the record, when he arrived, it was what time?
It's 10:27 a.m.
Okay. And when he left?
10:37 a.m.
That's the witness, Your Honor.
Any questions?
Just with you, Your Honor.
All right.
Oh boy.
Mr. Mercado, you and Mr. Burgos were neighbors for about 5 years prior to the date of the murders, correct?
I don't remember the exact dates, but we bought the house in 2011, and I believe he bought it a few years later, so I can't recall the actual numbers of years.
Okay, but during the time that you were neighbors, you met Amy, Mr. Burgos' wife, right?
That is correct.
She's a Customs and Border Protection agent.
She is an officer.
In fact, you all took a trip down to South Padre Island together on one occasion, correct?
That's correct.
And you also met Mr. Burgos' children, Gabriel and Damien, correct?
That's correct.
And they would go over to your house to play with your kids frequently?
That's correct.
Do you recall that there was a period of time during which Amy and Ronald were separated?
I never noticed that.
You were not aware that they were separated?
No. I mean, I don't pay attention to their relationship like that, so I'm not sure.
You were interviewed by a police investigator around May of 2018, correct?
Probably, yes. When that incident happened, or murder happened?
About a month later, more or less.
That is correct, yes.
And in that interview, do you recall stating that you would sometimes go home to pick up lunch while you were on duty?
I've done it before with supervisor approval. I would ask if I can pick up my lunch, and I would literally just go in, pick it up, and go. Let probably a minute or 2 minutes, whatever it takes me to walk in and out.
I'll go where the judge does
A
it.
lot of agents would, it was not uncommon for agents to go home and pick up lunch, in fact, while they were on duty. Isn't that correct?
I can talk for all the agents. I can only say about what I do, and I know I ask for supervisor approval before going to my house to pick up my lunch if I left it behind.
All right.
Oh, they're trying to say when you pick up lunch.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
And how does the outfit change make
No
sense?
further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Your experience is over. Thank you.
State calls Juan Ruiz, Your Honor.
Juan Ruiz?
Okay, like how long is this trial going on today? It's like almost 1 in the morning over here. Okay. Damn, they're going so past 5 p.m.
You gonna put it in the bin?
Yes, Your Honor. I put the photos in the. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. You've been sworn in, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat right up here. Have a seat. Pull your chair up to the mic, and we'll get ready.
Yeah. Right now in Laredo, Texas, it's 5:40 p.m.
You may proceed, Mr. Garza.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you please state your full name for the record?
Juan Leopoldo Ruiz.
And are you currently employed?
Oh,
Yes,
no.
sir.
And where is that?
Webb County District Attorney's Office.
And how long have you been at the Webb County District Attorney's Office?
5 months.
I don't know his name, you
Before you
guys.
started working there, did you work somewhere else?
The Laredo Police Department.
And how long did you work there for?
31 years.
And what training and experience did you get while working your 31 years at the Laredo Police Department?
Well, upon graduating from the police academy, I was assigned to the patrol division. I remained there, started working in 1992. I remained there till 1998 when I promoted to the rank of investigator.
at which time I was assigned to the crime scene investigating, the CSI unit for crime scene investigations. After that, November 2000, I was reassigned to the burglary and felony theft division, in which I remained for 16 years. In, I believe it was April of 2016, I was reassigned to the Intel division. So I was there from April of 2016 through November of 2020. In November 2020, I was transferred to the
Thanks, everyone.
Office of Professional Standards division. And that's where I remained there until January of 2023, till my retirement.
And so you were employed with the Laredo Police Department on April 9th, 2018?
Yes.
And by this point, from which you testified, you had been with the Intel Division for 2 years?
Yes.
And what were your duties as a member of the Intel Division?
My duties in the Intel Division was gather intelligence for ongoing investigations and cell phone forensics.
And what is cell phone forensics?
Cell phone forensics is basically the process of recovering digital evidence from mobile devices.
Okay. And did you receive any trainings related to cell phone forensics prior to April 9th, 2018?
Yes, I did.
About how many trainings had you received by then?
I believe it was five training. Had gone to 5 trainings prior to that, to 2018.
Okay. And during your course of duties as an officer of the Intel Division, had you performed any cell phone forensics before April 9th, 2018?
Yes, I had.
Approximately how many had you performed?
Approximately about 50.
What?
For large or extra large?
Large.
What? Okay, with the gloves they said large or extra large. He said large. So they do have different size gloves. Yeah, I'll go more and defend and be like, damn those ring cams and cell phones.
I'm now going to hand you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 48.
I would never do that. You know I was a pilot, right?
Right, may I approach the witness?
For real though. I know how to stay awake.
Do you recognize this?
What is it? What is it?
Can I take it out of the bag?
You may.
Ooh, it's a phone.
Yes.
And what is it?
It's a Samsung Galaxy S7, I believe.
And is this one of the cell phones you performed a cell phone extraction on back on April 9th, 2018?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm now tendering to defense for inspection State's Exhibit 48.
Eduardo, you see that? It's a phone.
And we now operate as evidence.
Okay.
Stage 48, Mr. Upton?
Yes, we operate as evidence, Your Honor.
Admitted without objection.
9 years, Lisa Marie.
And Mr. Ruiz, as to State's Exhibit 48, do you know whose cell phone that belonged to?
Mr. Anthony Burgos?
Your Honor, may I first witness?
So that was his phone, okay.
I'm now handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 49. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
And what is it?
It's a Samsung Galaxy.
And is this another one of the cell phones you performed an extraction on April 9, 2018?
Yes, I did.
Or about?
Yes.
And do you know whose phone this belonged to?
Ms. Grizelda Hernandez.
Okay, okay.
I'm now tendering to the defense for inspection what's been marked as State's Exhibit 49. And offers evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
I like
Admitted without
Samsung.
objection.
Now we're going to get some phone evidence. Oh my word, mods, thank you so much for being here and for everything you do.
And Mr. Ruiz, I'm now handing you what's
Trial
been marked
Babalas.
as State's Exhibit 50. Do you recognize
Okay.
it?
Yes.
And what is it?
It's a ZTE cell phone?
And is this another one of the cell phones you performed an extraction on around April 9, 2018?
Yes.
And who does this phone belong to?
Ms. Grizelda Hernandez.
And it was a phone that Dominic would use for games and things like that. They talked about that in the beginning as well.
I'm now tendering to the defense what's been marked as State's Exhibit 50.
Becky, we might. From the Google, if there's a Google
And
search
offers
here,
evidence.
we might.
No objection, Your Honor.
Admitted without objection.
Yeah, in Park, I also got to get up early.
Now, you just saw what was marked as State's Exhibit 48, which you said was the defendant's Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles' phone. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, was that phone, that extraction of that phone, was that pursuant to a search warrant?
Yes, sir.
And was that search warrant, did that contain a probable cause affidavit?
Yes.
And was that search warrant signed by a judge?
Yes.
Now,
What are we going to learn from the phones?
I am now handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 485. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
And what is it?
It's a USB drive.
And what is on that USB drive?
It's the recovered digital evidence from the cell phones.
And how do you know this?
It's got my initials on the back.
So you reviewed this before?
Yes.
Yeah, cell phone time. Jelly Bean?
Mr. Ruiz, are the reports contained in this USB a true and accurate copy of the original reports you generated in 2018?
Yes.
Have they been altered in any manner?
No.
As to the information that is contained in State's Exhibit 485, what kind of electronic equipment was originally used to generate it?
It's a Cellbrite UFED Touch.
And what is Cellbrite UFED Touch?
Cellbrite UFED Touch is it's a standalone device that's used for the extraction of digital evidence from cell phones and other digital devices, laptops, smartwatches, all the sort, tablets.
Okay, and so when you say that Cellbrite is a standalone device, does that mean it's a hardware?
Yes, it's hardware.
Does it require any extra software to perform those forensic extractions?
Not for the forensic extraction.
Now, did you have a chance to examine the equipment back in 2018?
Yes.
And was it a standard type of equipment for the purpose for which it was used?
Yes.
And was it in good working order?
Yes.
Now, what process is generally used to input information onto Cellbrite?
So the cell phone, in this particular case, the cell phone was an Android, so the cell phone has to be prepared in order to be connected to the Cellbrite, to the device, to the hardware, in order for it to perform the extraction.
Okay, and how is that
Right,
device
Johnny.
prepared for extraction?
There are certain steps that are taken. So you go to settings, you click on settings. After settings opens up, you go to
Magic.
about phone. Once about phone opens up, scroll down, you go to the build number. You tap the build number 7 times. Once you do that, another drop-down opens up, which is developer options. Once you go into developer options, you turn on USB debugging, and you set the phone to stay awake. Once that process is done, then it's ready to get plugged into the Cellbrite device.
Okay, so you prep the phone and you plug it into Cellbrite and it's ready to input information.
Yes.
And once you input information onto Cellbrite, how do you store that information?
It gets stored onto an external hard drive.
Okay. And once it is on that external hard drive, how do you then recover that information?
That information is recovered by the UFED physical analyzer.
And what is the UFED physical analyzer?
It's software that's intended to analyze, to create reports, create timeline graphs, basically to put all the information that's the digital information that's extracted, the digital evidence that's extracted from the mobile device, to put it into a readable format.
Okay. And did you use any additional software in extracting the information?
No.
Now, using Cellbrite UFED Touch and the UFED Physical Analyzer, did you extract, recover, and save any information from Grizelda and Dominic's phones that you have available today in a digital form?
What did you have?
And in what format were these forms generated in?
In PDF format.
And once these forms are generated in PDF format, can they then be edited afterwards?
No, because they were generated in read-only.
So once they are generated in read-only, there's no more editing of that?
Can't be altered or edited or deleted.
So the information in that report is solely information that came from the cell phone?
Yes.
I'm now tendering to defense what's been marked as State's Exhibit 485 for inspection and offered into evidence.
No objections, Your Honor.
Admitted without objection.
Mr. Ruiz, I'm handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 486. Do you recognize this?
Yes, it's a
USB.
USB device.
USB. Okay.
Okay, and are you familiar with that USB drive?
Yes.
And how are you familiar with it?
It's got my initials in the back.
And what is contained in that USB drive?
As well, digital evidence that was obtained from one of the mobile devices.
And do you know which mobile device that was?
From Mr. Anthony Burgos' device.
Mr. Ruiz, I want to talk about that in this exhibit, in the State's Exhibit 486, the report states that it was generated on Cellbrite UFED Touch. However, in the supplemental report that you provided to the Laredo Police Department back in April, you stated that it was performed on Oxygen Forensic Detective. Can you please explain that discrepancy?
It was a clerical error in my behalf, as far as the supplement is concerned.
Okay, so the report that you generated back then is the same report that is on this USB?
Yes.
Okay. And as to the information that is contained in State's Exhibit 486, you use the same hardware that you used for Grizelda and Dominic's phone, is that correct?
Yes.
And was it in good working order just as it was when you performed those other extractions?
Yes, it was.
Now, using Cellbrite UFED Touch and the UFED Physical Analyzer, did you extract, recover, and save any information from Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles' phone that you have available today in a digital form?
Yes.
And was it also generated as a PDF?
Yes, it was.
What you're saying is, as you said before, the information that's on this USB has not been altered, and it could not have been altered because it's in PDF format.
That's correct.
So the information in State's Exhibit 486 is solely information from the phone of Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles?
Yes.
Can't wait for what we learn here. What is it?
I'm now tendering to defense with been marked in State's Exhibit 486.
And CJ's mom, yes. The answer is yes.
Evidence.
No objections, Your Honor.
Admitted without objection.
No further questions.
Any questions of the witness, Mr. Pena?
No questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Okay.
You are excused from the
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
What?
All right.
No. What
It
kind of
is,
cliffhanger was that?
5:56, and we are calling it a day.
No. Even though I'm
We'll
tired.
start tomorrow
no.
at the same time we did today.
Well, what time is
Work out
that,
for you
sir?
all, I hope.
What time is that,
And
sir?
then we'll take it from there, so.
You said
Any
8:45.
special requests? Talk to Mr. Ruiz. Thank you all. We'll see you in the morning.
I mean, is it going to be 45? What? I'm setting it for 4 p.m. my time tomorrow. Was that all just about, what was that? What are we going to learn from tomorrow then? I'm excited then to learn what did they extract from those cell phones, huh? T does is like 5:56 calling it a day. Well, here in the Netherlands, it's after midnight, 12:56. Okay, so they normally start at 9 o'clock. Today they said they're going to start at 8:45, but it actually started at 9:15. J. Scott, I do not drink alcohol anymore at all. So, coffee all the way.
Have you all already exchanged the lineup for tomorrow?
We'll give it to him.
All right.
What's the lineup?
Tomorrow you need an interpreter, or you do not? Mr. Alanis. Mr. Alanis, do you need an interpreter tomorrow? I don't think, you said it was day 1, day 2. I don't think you.
Normally 9 o'clock Texas time. That's when the trial starts.
Not tomorrow, but
What? No. Don't look at the ceiling. Cameraman. Listen, cameraman. I know you can still hear us. Could you please tell us what's happening? I'm just going to leave it there in case we can see more. But yes, normally court today was supposed to start at 8:45. We sat here and we waffled, so I'm going to have to edit that waffle out because my word. They probably started, I think it was at 9:15. And then there was all kinds. There was a lot today happening. But, yes, busy day. Instead of now, the waffling will be less waffly now if I do waffle. I'm so tired. And I never say that, but I am tired now. Because like it's 1 a.m. Day 2 of the trial. With lots of breaks and things, right? Meaning like waiting around to see, is it an impeachment, mistrial? What's happening? What's going to happen now? I just can't wait for tomorrow to hear this, whatever it is, the Google searches or the text messages or what do they extract from those phones?